BBC News at 7 o'clock. This is Harvey Cook. Boris Johnson's facing pressure to resign from some of his own MPs after admitting he went to a drinks event in Downing Street during the first national lockdown. Mr Johnson apologised in the Commons, although he said he'd believed at the time it was technically within the rules. The Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said the Prime Minister should quit over what he called ridiculous lies and excuses. There have also been calls to resign from the leader of the Scottish Conservatives, Douglas Ross, and the Tory backbench MP, William Bragg.
Unfortunately, I wasn't reassured. I fear this is simply going to be a continuing distraction to the good governance of the country. As colleagues are saying to one another and off the record, I sadly think that the Prime Minister's position is untenable.
A judge in New York has ruled that Prince Andrew should face a civil case in the US over allegations he sexually assaulted a woman when she was 17. The Prince's lawyers had tried to get Virginia Giuffre's legal action thrown out. Here's our royal correspondent, Johnny Diamond.
Every strategy Prince Andrew's legal team have tried has failed. Now he faces an unenviable choice. He can try and settle the case with a financial offer and perhaps some accompanying statement. His accuser, Virginia Giuffre, would need to agree to that settlement. He can try and ignore the case, or he can fight it out, answering questions from Ms Giuffre's lawyers. None of the options is appealing. But in this Jubilee year, there's now more than just Prince Andrew's reputation at stake. Buckingham Palace said it would not comment on what is an ongoing legal matter.
NATO's Secretary-General has warned there's still a risk of new armed conflict in Europe after talks in Brussels with Russia left significant differences unresolved. Jens Stoltenberg said the Western Alliance was ready for more discussions over the build-up of Russian troops on the border with Ukraine. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister, Alexander Grushko, said NATO had to stop expanding eastwards.
Diplomacy is about talking, and without talking it will be not possible to achieve results. We are ready to continue. But it should be meaningful discussions. It should not be a repetition of so-called slogans or principles. We have to have a shared common goal.
A statue over the entrance to Broadcasting House in central London has been damaged by a man using a hammer. The BBC has previously faced calls to remove the statue of Prospero and Ariel, which was created by Eric Gill, who sexually abused two of his daughters. A football match of the Africa Cup of Nations has ended in chaos after the referee twice ended the match before the 90 minutes were up. On the second occasion, players refused to come out of the dressing room. The result was Mali 1, Tunisia 0. And the weather, a clear and cold night across much of England and Wales, with fog developing in places, cloudy and breezy for much of northern England, Northern Ireland and Scotland. And that's the BBC News at 7:03.
BBC 5 Live.
Saturday mornings on BBC Radio 5 Live. From 6, wake up to the big weekend news stories with Ellie Aldroyd and Chris Warburton.
Hope you're feeling good. Are you up for the weekend, Ellie?
I'm up.
You're up.
And that's as good as it gets.
At 9, it's Scott Mills and Chris Stark.
I met Bear Grylls dressed as a bear once. It was a sort of similar thing. It's awkward for everyone involved.
And from 11, the gloves are off for Fighting Talk with Colin Murray.
We're ready to shoot a whole load of double jabs and give everybody a boost. I'm Colin Murray. This is Fighting Talk.
Saturday mornings from 6 on BBC Radio 5 Live.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
It's hard because we know very well that we are facing a really top team. That last season they won the Champions League. They invested much money to improve the squad.
Into Havertz in the box and it's there! Chelsea take an early lead in the semi-final and they're all celebrating in the back of the net.
I would actually say we have no foot in the final. None of the teams. We need to be prepared.
Chelsea are sniffing the possibility of a second goal, left-footed ball. In it goes to the edge of the six-yard box, it's deflected in! It's an own goal! And Chelsea lead by 2-0.
We are playing against the best in Europe, but at the same time I think that despite our problems we have to try to give everything, to show great desire, great will to fight.
We had a very good match in the first leg, but it's over, it's the past. Forget the first game, forget the first result and do it again.
So it's Tottenham against Chelsea in the second leg of the League Cup semi-final this evening. Full commentary here on 5 Live Sport. The winner will face either Liverpool or Arsenal, their first leg, tomorrow night on 5 Live Sport. There is also a Premier League match tonight as well. That's at the London Stadium, West Ham against Norwich. Plenty of updates here. If you want that game, you can listen to it in full on Sports Extra. And from 10 o'clock tonight, we'll talk cricket with Ellie and the team in Hobart ahead of the 5th and final test, which begins on Friday morning. Do Tottenham believe they have a chance then, John Murray, when you look at their team?
Well, when you look at the team, I think the important thing will be that this team puts in a performance, because this time last week the feeling was that this could be a really close affair between the two sides, given the form that Tottenham were in going into that first leg. But the manner of that performance that Spurs put in, particularly in the first half last week, I mean, they are fortunate they still do have a glimmer.
What's the team then?
So the team is, for tonight, Golini in goal, and that's worth discussing in itself. So Lloris is on the bench, so Golini plays. 3 central defenders, Tanganga, Sanchez and Davis. So that is as it was last week. Emerson Royal on the right, Matt Doherty on the left, as it was last week. Winks comes in alongside Højbjerg, so skips on the bench. Then Lo Celso, Lucas Moura and Harry Kane. Remember, Son is injured. So that's the Tottenham side. Incidentally, Tanguy Ndombele is not involved at all tonight. He's not on the bench either after he was booed off at the weekend against Morecambe. And the Chelsea side, 3 changes from last week. There's a couple of talking points here. Kepa's in goal. We think it's 3 central defenders, Sarr, Christensen and Rudiger, with Azpilicueta on the right and Hudson-Odoi on the left, Kovacic and Jorginho in the middle, Mount, Werner and Lukaku.
Matt Upson alongside John. Clinton Morrison with us this evening as well. A lot of Tottenham fans, Matt, seem quite underwhelmed by that starting 11. I mean, is it underwhelming, or does actually the 2 11s highlight the difference in the squads?
Well, I mean, the fans are underwhelmed, but I look at the bench, and like John mentioned, I think Lloris is a really interesting talking point. I cannot understand why he wouldn't be starting in this game. It's a massive game for the club. But, you know, you've got talent, like I think Skip's done really well lately. You've obviously got Brian Hill, Dele Alli, you know, and he's got some young players on the bench. But for me, it's a team that Conte looks at and thinks, well, I need my team to get on the front foot. I need to try and emulate what Chelsea did to them in the first leg. They're at home here. You have to physically get amongst your opponent. And I just think Tottenham was so in shock in that first 45 minutes that he's picked a team that will get on the front foot, will put their foot in, so he wants them to. And it's interesting with Lo Celso. Is that a little curveball in terms of formation? Will he play number 10 and they'll play Moura and Kane up? Will he just maybe a little surprise in that sense, possibly? So, you know, I understand the fans being underwhelmed possibly, but I think it's a team, when you look at the bench and what's available, that he feels is the best one to do the job.
And I've just been told that he's said about the reason that Golini is playing tonight in goal. Antonio Conte said, only because we have to play many games in the next 10 days and also 3 important games in the league. And before his arrival, Golini played every game in the cup competitions in the Europa Conference League and the Carabao Cup. So that's the reasoning for it. But it did seem strange to us because we were here, Matt and I, and Lloris played in the quarter-final against West Ham, then played in the first leg of the semi-final, but doesn't play in the second leg of the semi-final.
Hugely interesting for me, because not to knock goalkeepers, but, and I'm sure mentally it's a challenging position. You have to be focused, so they need their breaks. But this isn't
but
a game.
They don't run around, do they, Matt?
Come on, I was waiting for it, Jappers. I just saw your face as I was lining that up. I could see where are you going with this?
Call Rob Green. Yeah, get Rob Green on.
But is this the game? Is this the match to say, well, have a rest? I think this is a match where his team need to make an impression in this game. Whether or not they come away having gone through to the final of this cup, they have to leave an impression on their home stadium, on their home supporters, that we're a team that are committed, high energy and can play in that fashion. And I think the goalkeeper sets the tone.
And those 3 league games that he's talking about, the next 3 league games for Spurs, Arsenal here on Sunday when you and I will be here again, and then Leicester away, Chelsea away.
Whatever happens tonight, I don't think we'll beat the line of I know goalkeepers have to concentrate, but they don't run around. So,
Chappers, let me break that down. That is a load of rubbish. I'm a Tottenham fan. Lloris don't need a rest. He doesn't do no running. It's a semi-final of a cup. You got battered in the first leg. That team that he's just picked today is not good enough. If you want to win, why are you saving it? What are you going to save him for? Arsenal on the weekend. Arsenal, with even all their injuries and players that got away, they'll still beat Tottenham. That squad of players is not good enough in my eyes, man.
Clinton, who else is he saving there when you look at also who
No
is...
one, he ain't saving. The only one that's not in that team that will play, probably Matt and John would say, is Eric Dyer. That's the only one who's not playing, Eric Dyer.
Lloris didn't play in the FA Cup though, did he?
No, he didn't play against Morecambe. No, Golini played. But yeah, so if he didn't play on the weekend,
he didn't play at the
why
weekend?
are you not playing him this evening? I don't get it in the semi-final. It's a strange one. Goalkeepers don't need rest, Chappers. The goalkeepers do my head in. John, you can get Rob Green on the phone. I don't care. Or whatever you want. Goalkeepers don't need rest. They don't do any running in the football match.
The bigger picture in all of this, and you go first, Clinton, is more, I suppose, the state or the situation, the state of the Tottenham squad, really. And you know, there's no Ndombele now, and there's unlikely to be Ndombele again. And Conte will want to put pressure on his superiors to try and bring some players in. Yes, they've got good players, but it doesn't feel like it's enough there.
No, it's not enough, and Tottenham want to challenge. That top 4 spot is open. Do I think Tottenham's squad at the moment is good enough? No, I don't think it's good enough. The likes of, obviously, I know Bergwijn, there's talk of him leaving. For me, they should try to keep Bergwijn. I think he's a good player, just needs confidence and needs a manager to believe in him, and I think Conte should start playing him. In particular now when you've got Son out for 4 weeks, because he's a huge blow, to be fair. And Matty made a good point. Let's also, if he does play in the 10, that's his position. If he plays out wide, that's not his position. The wing backs, or if Chelsea play fullbacks, they'll run past him because he don't want to defend. He only good going forward. He's another one who looked like he was on his way. That is why I look at Conte at the moment, and he's done well at Tottenham, but he looks frustrated, Chappers. They've got to back him in this January window. There's a lot of talk of Adama Traore coming in. They need at least 2 or 3 in this window to compete into that, to challenge for that top 4. Because at the moment, I'm not being disrespectful, but they just about beat Morecambe. They had to bring the big guns off the bench to beat Morecambe, and that's not being disrespectful to Morecambe. Credit to Morecambe. They were brilliant on the day, but if you want to challenge for a top 4, you need to bring in some new recruitments for sure.
I think what was interesting with the Bergwijn one, as John mentioned, we were here for that West Ham game, and I remember him, it's the best game I've seen him have, I think, in a Tottenham shirt, from the point of view that he was just so direct. I mean, I think he scored and he created one. One of them was like a real driving run where he went between 2 players, and he was very physical. And I think that's something that Chelsea identified in the first leg, that they felt they could press, they could outrun, they could out-harry Tottenham, and they wouldn't cope. And I think to Antonio Conte, that's a major problem, because he bases his fundamentals on being competitive, being able to cope with that, and actually doing that to the opposition, which is why I think this is an interesting game. I really do, because it's up to them. Doesn't matter what the team sheet is, who's playing. The team's got to come out. They've got to lay their mark on this game, regardless of what happens, and they have to put a performance in.
What do Tottenham need, Clinton? Because I know Son's injured, but you go, all right, Son, Kane and Moura, fine. The midfield platform, I suppose, fine. Wings, Skip, Højbjerg. But then
they're very similar, though, Chappers.
Yes,
I'll tell you what they need. They need another midfielder, because those 3, I think, are very similar. They need another attacker, even if it's a centre forward or one who can play through the middle or play as one of those front 3. They need another centre back. I'll tell you what centre back they need: a left-sided one. It's someone like a Matty Upson, and that's not just because he's on there and I played with him at Birmingham, but they need an experienced one who can play there. Ben Davies is doing a job there. You can see Ben Davies is not a third centre-half. He'd probably rather play wing-back, and they probably need a right wing-back, because I'm not being disrespectful here. Emerson Royal is not good enough, and that's why I think they're going in for Adama Traore, and Conte will try to change Adama Traore like he changed Victor Moses and play him as a wing-back. That's my opinion.
Clint, you've just named the whole 11, mate.
No, I need 4. 4. They need 4, Matty. If you're going to challenge, you need 4, don't you?
I was going to say to you, you were naming those things, and for me, when I watch Tottenham, for many seasons now, I've never felt they've had a right-sided player since probably Trippier left the club.
Yeah.
And I've watched Emerson Royale this season, and for me, it just flatters to deceive for me. I don't get going forwards. Is he pulling up trees and really creating? Not really. I don't think defensively he's particularly reliable. He has to play wing back and not right back in a back four. I think he's had to go to a three because the fullback situation in those wide areas. I mean, we've seen how well Chelsea have done in that area of the pitch and how potent they've been from wing back positions is so important.
Well,
I think Tottenham need to strengthen there.
Also, Matt, Chelsea have produced about 9 right backs in the last in the last 2 years. I mean, whether it be Livramento at Southampton or Tariq Lamptey who's at Brighton. I mean, they've got a conveyor belt of right backs.
Correct, and it's these are players that are leaving the club because they can't get a sniff in the first team. That's how good the right back position is, and the options that they have, and they base so much of their game around it, and it's very similar. Back three, really attacking wing backs, 2 holding midfield players, and they go and they do all their damage in wide areas, and I just don't see Tottenham having that quality in wide areas in a similar fashion.
I thought he was very honest last week when he came in and spoke on the Zoom conference in the aftermath of the defeat in the first leg, Antonio Conte, when he said, just as Clinton's effectively outlined it there, he said there is a lot of work to do. He said we're rebuilding and we need more time, and he kept using this phrase, we're in the middle. And even though if they do actually win their matches, they're in a good position in the top 4. But I took that to mean we're a long way from the finished article, which is what he kept saying. And he said that last week's performance, Conte said, confirmed what he thought. And I took that to mean about the state of the squad that he had. And I guess that's why that we've had these stories over the course of the last few days about meetings in the Bahamas with Joe Lewis and Daniel Levy going there. And then discussions when they got back with the hierarchy, Antonio Conte involved in that. He was talking about it yesterday in advance of this game. So clearly they've got plans.
What they are, though, at the moment, they are the result of 5 managers in the last 3 years. If you include it's a bit unfair that, because that includes Ryan Mason in his caretaker spell. But what they are, Matt, they are a squad who are the result of Pochettino and Mourinho and Nuno and now Conte, and that could be young players coming through and not pushing on or falling out of favour, and that's players being brought in who don't necessarily fit a new manager.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Pochettino feel is now really eked out of the team, and I think that that's been a huge successful period for Tottenham, and not just people say they didn't win anything and all of that, and they've had to deal with that, but in terms of how they played, and they were always a threat, they were always hanging in there, playing good football. And as you mentioned, this group of players, they're just not used to having the ball, and I think I used to watch them under Mourinho, and it would just be like, don't want the ball, don't need possession. There's no real constructive passing from the defence through the midfield into the front. No patterns like that you'd see of a team moving the ball quickly. And I see that in Tottenham still. And Conte's coming. I was here for their first home game against Leeds. But they won the game because they just had a little bit too much in terms of quality high up the pitch and what have you. But Leeds absolutely destroyed them in the first 45 minutes. Ran them ragged, moved them all over the pitch, moved the ball brilliantly, got 1-0 up, 1-0 at half-time. Credit to Tottenham, they came out and fought. But it was a real shock for me about how bad they were at passing the ball and just having controlled possession, and they're caught between all those managers that you mentioned, Chappers. They're a mixture of all of that, so it takes a bit of time to then get your identity back.
Would you agree with that, Clint? I'm sure some fans will go, well, you're a footballer. Surely, whoever your manager is, you should be able to pass the ball. You should be able to move. You should be able to run. But I've heard several footballers in the past go, after one manager's left and another's come in, go, do you know what? It's really hard to get out of our heads what we were coached under the previous manager, despite what the new manager is telling us.
Yeah, it's difficult. Sometimes, and as players, sometimes do you want to buy into it? Certain players will buy into the new manager. Certain players won't buy into the new manager. Listen, Nuno wasn't, I don't think, ever first choice to go to Tottenham. He went there. The style of play He was never going to change. It wasn't exciting at Wolves. It was counter-attacking football. These Tottenham fans don't want to see that. Whether they're winning or losing, they want to see this team be on the front foot, as Matt said, trying to pass and create chances. And they've become a team that, under Nuno, anyway, in particular they were, that were counter-attacking. It wasn't exciting. You can even see some of the players' body language wasn't really great, to be fair. You were thinking they're not enjoying their football. Now Conte's come in. There's a big lift. And the one that gets me is the running stats. They were bottom and now they're one of the highest. I don't get that as a player, because once you cross that white line, surely you want to, the first thing you should do is a given, is to work hard. And so those players have to look at themselves and say they wasn't working hard enough. Now they are working because they're one of the top running stats in the Premier League. But it's just so difficult. And I just feel sorry for Conte, because I think he's done a terrific job. But the owners need to back him in this window. If they want Tottenham to be challenging to finish in that top 4, which I think is going to be difficult, need to be backed in this window.
Do you just want to pick up, Matt, on that point about trying to shake off previous managers' instructions and work methods?
If the manager didn't matter, then players would just be doing it by themselves, wouldn't they? And why is every club craving these, a well-respected manager that has a good piece of respect from the players and good understanding and good rapport with people? Because it's what gets the best out of you. And Clinton mentioned, like, you have a personal pride as a player, but I bet, Clint, you played for managers who you respected more. They got more from you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
The managers
you're right.
that didn't, and that's
it's
just
like
human
hair,
nature.
Matty. It's like being on hair. If I didn't respect Chappers, I wouldn't give him my best tonight. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, you'd be way under par tonight if it wasn't
Chappers presenting. That's what I'm trying to say. So I respect him.
You're a 10 out of 10 tonight, aren't you?
But you know what? I need to stop something there. Something's been bubbling over here, right, Matt? It's nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do with you, Chappers. But it's to do with my good friend, the big man, John Murray. Because what he said earlier on, and I know I didn't get it right, he said, I'll be with Matt on Sunday. The big man, you're with me on Sunday, so you need to apologise live on air. If you don't want me, you want to sub me.
I apologise unreservedly, Clinton.
You made me try and think twice there. Do you know what I mean, John?
As you're well aware, John really couldn't care less who's next to him. Every commentary is only about him and solely about him.
Oh, good luck, Matt.
Yeah,
well, he worried me because I thought I'd messed my diary up for a moment.
That's what I'm thinking. And he worried me.
I'm somewhere else on Saturday.
He worried me. I was thinking, all right, maybe I've got subbed off.
Yes, it was when Matt widened his eyes as I looked at him. I thought, I've got that wrong. And you're actually at Brighton on Friday night.
Yes, I am.
There we are.
Good game.
Just redeem yourself
to get the
now.
record straight.
Yeah. Right, so Matt Upson alongside John Murray tonight at the Tottenham Stadium. Clinton with us all evening as well. There is Premier League action as well tonight with bottom of the table Norwich at West Ham. Point for West Ham will see them move above Arsenal into the Champions League spots. If you want to listen to this, it's in full on Sports Extra. John Southall will keep us updated here on 5 Live. John.
Yes, good evening, Mark. Game of some significance this at both ends of the table. As you say, a West Ham win or draw will propel them back into the top 4. And remarkably, given their last 5 league games, Norwich, they've lost all of them and they haven't managed to score a goal during that time. Well, if they win tonight, they'll move level on points with Watford in 17th, the coveted 17th place. The team news, well, it's interesting. There's no Thomas Souček for West Ham. He has COVID. Mark Noble picked up a knock in training yesterday. He can't replace him. So Pablo Fornals comes in, one of 3 changes from the last league game. Aaron Cresswell is back. He's missed the last 10 matches. And Nikola Vlasic replaces Said Ben Rama, who's at the Africa Cup of Nations. 6 changes for Norwich. That from their last league game against Palace. Krul, Aarons, Hanley, Williams, Rashica and Pukki come in. So it's quite an attacking front 4. But they need to start winning and scoring some goals. Their last goal in the league was the 30th of November. The last win, the 20th of that month. But they did win in the FA Cup on Sunday. I was there at the Valley. They didn't play particularly well, but they won the game, and they will hope that they can build on that. As you said, Mark, this game's on Sports Extra tonight. James Collins is alongside me, and we've had a bit of a nightmare. Credit to James to start with, who brought the teas up. But the teas up ended all over the table. He had about 20 sachets of milk in his pocket. They came flying out.
John had only been sat here half hour doing his notes, and within 30 seconds of me stepping onto the gantry, I ruined them all.
I know it's hard to believe I do notes, but it was before anybody else
John
says
doesn't do notes.
Well, he pretended he was doing
But
notes.
I've never seen anybody have more sachets of milk in his pocket.
I do like a
when
milky
they came
coffee.
out.
James has obviously worked with John before if he knew he had to bring the drinks up.
Yes.
You know the score, Matthew.
Are you going back down to get more drinks before kick-off, James, or not?
I think we salvaged it. It wasn't a complete disaster, so mine's all right. Anyway, I'm not sure about John.
Now, John talked about Norwich and how they beat Charlton in the Cup of the weekend and scored in that game. However, there have been fans protesting outside Carrow Road. They've accused Delia Smith of having no ambition and no fight, and they've called for her to leave the club. Dean Smith himself has said that he doesn't appreciate some of the chants from fans regarding their lack of goals.
We're working hard. I mean, I can be honest and say I don't like the sarcasm from our own fans. We need to be together in this fight to stay in the league. And as I've said, there are reasons for our performances, I think, and the results in the previous 3 Premier League games. And we need our supporters to be with us as well. And I know at times that there is only a minority. But, I would ask them to refrain from that and get behind us. And hopefully we can give them something to shout at. It's only 3 games ago that I was being told by Norwich fans that our performance against Manchester United was up there with top performances. So hopefully we can get back there, and together with the supporters we can all be pulling in the same direction.
Well, I mean, the first thing you would say on that, Clinton, is, measuring your performance against Manchester United at the moment is slightly debatable on the basis they've made Watford and Newcastle and Burnley to a certain extent, even though they beat Burnley, look like world beaters.
Yeah, you're right. And I was at the Palace game, the Palace-Norwich game. They were terrible, to be fair. And it weren't good. I was working and you had to walk right past the fans, and the stick they were giving Billy Gilmore was well out of order. Listen, he wasn't one of his better games, but he was still the one who was trying to get on the ball and make stuff happen. So you can tell now, and that's unusual for the Norwich fans because they usually stay with their team, so they're getting frustrated. And you look at them, and a lot of people said, what business they've done in the summer. I had to look at the other day, they spent something like 50-60 million in the summer. I just don't think the signings that they spent have been good enough, and the fans are going to voice their frustrations because the performances have not been good enough. They're struggling they don't score goals, and that's the biggest problem. Even against Charlton on the weekend, Charlton dominated. Charlton should have won that FA Cup tie. In the end, Pukki was the difference, obviously setting out, and Rashika scored, but Charlton were the better team. So at the moment, they're low on confidence. Obviously, they've got 5 or 6 of their senior players back, so that's a big boost for Dean Smith against West Ham this evening. But I can only see one winner there because West Ham are playing ever so well at the moment. Even with a few injuries and players away, West Ham, they're still the better team. And I think it's going to be a struggle for Norwich this season to stay up.
James, fans in the main don't go to games to turn on their own team. But there comes a point, I suppose, where if you haven't scored in the league since the end of November and we're heading towards mid-January, that you're paying that money. Sarcasm is going to come into it if you haven't scored. It really is, because as a fan, you're just going to be frustrated.
Yeah, I feel like it's the frustration levels. I'm sure, like Clinton said, they spent big or relatively big for Norwich in the summer, and it hasn't worked. The one thing you would say, I've been in the position, bottom of the league or struggling. You do. It's easy for me to say, Saturday. You do need everyone behind you if you've got any chance of getting out of it. Dean Smith talking about performances and not being funny at the minute. It's not about performances. It's about winning games and finding a way to win games. So as Clinton says, it's going to be a real struggle for Norwich unless they start, keeping clean sheets and it's easy to say and score more goals. But it's West Ham will be looking at this Norwich team tonight and thinking they can really have a go at them and get a comfortable 3 points.
Feels like a situation, Matt, doesn't it, where actually, because of the paucity of entertainment that Norwich fans feels they've had, they'd in many ways probably take a 4-3 defeat, which would really, put a smile on their face rather than a 0-0 draw, as ridiculous as that sounds.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, to know that they're going to score 3 goals, but I agree with the chaps in that, the fans can get frustrated with ownership or what have you, but funds were made available, and you then have to start to scrutinise about where those funds went. And for Norwich, that's a lot of money to spend. This is for any Premier League club. I think that's a decent window, summer window spend. So a lot has to be looked at in terms of the recruitment, the suitability of that player, they've kind of scattered and bought quite a lot of players at a similar value, and you kind of then step back and go, well, is that the right thing to do? They need to strengthen by numbers or just one or two real pieces of quality. And in terms of scoring goals, Pukki, last time he was in the Premier League, he started on fire, didn't he? I remember his start was unbelievable, but then it really dried up. So not to have another option or somebody to come in of a better standing than him. I mean, he's been a great championship goal scorer, but in terms of the Premier League, he's not really done it. So you have to look at the recruitment for me, and I think they're paying the price for that.
Just on West Ham, James, earlier on, Tottenham have left Hugo Lloris out of their game tonight, presumably in advance of the North London derby. You look at West Ham, watch them in the Cup against Leeds at the weekend, you look at their starting lineup again. Rest really doesn't come into it for this squad, does it? I mean, they are just going to keep playing and hope it sort of doesn't backfire on them, and that momentum keeps them going.
100%, that's what they've done. I was here Sunday, Chappers. They played pretty much their strongest team. I must say they picked up, like John said, you know, Noves has gone down in training yesterday. There's a few COVID issues, and you look at their bench tonight, and it's looking a little bit thin, to be honest. So we all knew West Ham, you know, haven't got the biggest squad in the world, not blessed with the biggest squad, but you know, the players are doing it. I was very surprised to see Mikel Antonio play the full game on Sunday. Credit to David Moyes, he showed his intent in the FA Cup, but they say you look at Mikel, if he was to go down, talking about the squad again, there's not a lot.
Rice.
Exactly.
I mean, Rice must be in with a chance at Footballer of the Year at the moment.
He's been phenomenal. What he does for that team. You know what I love about that? We've all said it. He picks the ball up on the edge of his own box, and he runs. It looks like he's taken 5-6 strides, and he's in the other half of the pitch. He's been sensational. No doubt David Moyes will be looking at the transfer window. Centre half, obviously they're struggling with Zuma and Ogbono, who are out for a period of time. So fair play to David Moyes. He's sticking with the same boys, and they're performing and doing really well at the minute.
James, part of the commentary team on Sports Extra then, alongside Alistair Bruce-Ball and John Southall will keep us updated here on 5 Live. West Ham against Norwich in the Premier League. A few bits of transfer news. Aston Villa have agreed a deal for £25 million for Luca Digne. Everton, meanwhile, have inquired about a loan deal for Anwar Ghazi until the end of the season. Chris Wood, meanwhile, is said to have had his medical at Newcastle this morning ahead of his move from Burnley. Jermaine Defoe has left Rangers, and the England international Leo Williamson has signed a contract extension with Arsenal. At the Africa Cup of Nations, Mali beat Tunisia 1-0. The game was a shambles, though, towards the end, including at the full-time whistle being blown on the 85th minute. There was a penalty, there was VAR. We'll talk more about that at half-time. As well as live football this evening, there's live snooker as well. Jamie Broughton is watching the Masters at London's Ali Pali.
And the first round action, Mark, is continuing here. Karen Wilson is taking on the former champion Stuart Bingham, and it's Wilson that's about to wrap up the opening frame of the night. In fact, he's just done it. He had already made a 57 break. He made a very bright start this evening. The winner faces Judd Trump in the quarterfinals on Friday afternoon. Trump came through a final frame decider today as he beat Mark Allen 6-5. The Bristol star, who made 3 centuries in the match, wrapped up victory with a 62 break.
Thank you, Jamie. You can watch that on the red button, the iPlayer on the BBC Sport website. The Novak Djokovic story rumbles on. He's now admitted to breaking isolation after he tested positive for COVID. In a very long statement on Instagram, he said there were mistakes on his Australian immigration forms and that he met a journalist when he knew he'd tested positive. Meanwhile, Andy Murray's through to the last 8 in the Sydney Tennis Classic. Let's talk about the Wales Women's Rugby Union team now, because the captain, Siwan Lillicrap, was in tears at this morning's press conference where they unveiled the first ever full professional rugby players in the country. Sarah Orchard is with us. It was a momentous day for Welsh rugby, wasn't it?
It really was, Chappers, but one of the main reasons it was so momentous was it got so bad for the Welsh women. It was only in April that I was commentating on Siwan Lillicrap dragging her injured body around a rugby field in tears in the Six Nations as they were being thrashed by Ireland. Today, though, a different story. 12 women announced on 1-year full-time contracts. There's going to be another 15 that'll be announced on retainer contracts, and they're going to be training at the Wales National Performance Centre. And this all, of course, in the build-up to the World Cup in New Zealand in October. But more pressing will be this year's Six Nations at the end of March. And yes, this is a step forward. Wales, they can't and won't for some time be able to compare their women's programme with the likes of full-time professionals of England. They have been for some time. But with the WRU as cash-strapped as it is been after COVID, this was certainly welcome news. And you can hear just now how emotional Lillicrap is when she was asked by reporters just what this means to her.
It's a dream, really, that you've grown up and always wanted to be a pro player and represent your country to your best ability. And the journey's just beginning. You know, we've got this opportunity. It's now how we change that story over the next 12 months. It's going to be life-changing for me, but also we got a chance to change the face of Welsh women's rugby, and we've got a chance to change the narrative and story, and that is even bigger than any of us personally. So, yeah, it's massive, and I think seeing it all and feeling it all come to life today, it's quite emotional.
There was once a teenage girl at one of our lives who didn't have a team to play in. What would you say to her now?
Rob, you just made me a bit emotional, and yeah, like that is the reality, you know. I didn't have a club to play in because there was no age grade, and I fought for so long to even get my first Welsh cap, and to be in this privileged position now, and the strides that the game has taken is massive.
Sarah, who are some of the other names then who are confirmed?
Well, the big ones that you'll look out for is the former captain, Caris Phillips. She came back into the squad in the autumn internationals. She's already managed to secure herself a contract, having been essentially in the international wilderness for a number of years. And the other name that will be a familiar one to rugby fans, particularly in Wales, is that of Jasmine Joyce. She absolutely lit up the Sevens scene for many years. She's been a star of Team GB at both the Rio and Tokyo Olympics. She was another one who was named on a full-time contract.
And one other emerging story, and this in the men's game, an England Rugby Union international, Sarah, who's been arrested on suspicion of raping a teenager.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount we can say right now. This is a live legal process. The police have confirmed that a woman in her late teens was reported to have been sexually assaulted, and she is currently being supported by specialist officers. Subsequently, a man was arrested. That was on Sunday morning on suspicion of rape. And a 41-year-old woman was arrested on suspicion of administering a substance with intent to cause a sexual offence. Now, all we know further than that is that both have since been released on bail as police inquiries continue.
Sarah Orchard, thank you. Five Live's Rugby Union reporter. 7:37 Wednesday evening. Five Live Sport, full commentary to come from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham against Chelsea in the second leg of the League Cup semi-final, with Chelsea 2 goals to the good. We did a lot on Tottenham at the start. Let's just talk about Chelsea and their squad and their situation. We're just going to focus on Christian Pulisic for a moment. 3 goals and 3 assists from 18 appearances this season. Might not sound a lot. Thomas Tuchel says it doesn't tell the full story.
We moved him around a little bit, but in the end, they want to play, and it's a good thing if they can play more positions. You can always argue, yeah, I would have been more consistent or better if I have one clear position, but maybe then you have less minutes or you face even more concurrence, because up front we have like 2-3 players on every position. So first of all, it's a good thing. It was also a bad sign because it means that we had trouble on the left and right wing back with injuries, and he helped us out there. We are happy with the impact that he has. He can play a lot of minutes. He needs to play a lot of minutes. He has a physical ability that can help us. Of course, we are like, everybody wants him to have numbers. Everybody wants him to be effective. And we can improve, we can improve on that. And from there we go. This is the situation.
Now, what's interesting about that, Matt, is that Pulisic doesn't start tonight, despite Tuchel saying he needs minutes and he needs regular games. So they have Callum Hudson-Odoi playing tonight. They have Timo Werner playing tonight. And on the bench alongside Pulisic, you have Hakim Ziyech, Kai Havertz as well. They have so many players who could perform a variety of roles. And it felt like a year ago that discussions we were having on 5 Live Sport were like, they can't all stay and all be kept happy. But at the moment, they are. And they've added Lukaku since 12 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to name a couple more that are on the bench. Thiago Silva, N'Golo Kante, Saul Niguez, you know, Marcus Alonso. It's phenomenal. What a squad Chelsea have. That's why everyone tipped Chelsea at the start of the season for the Premier League. The addition of Lukaku into that group, it was just like, wow, this squad's going to be unbeatable. That's how I felt. I thought they were flying, and it's just hit a funny bump in the road, hasn't it? And it's been a little bit unsettled. But in terms of Pulisic and his contribution, I mean, he was possibly Chelsea's best player up to before he got injured. Was it in the cup final he went off injured with a bad injury, didn't he, against Arsenal? He was flying. He was he was probably one of the most effective players under Frank Lampard's reign at the club. That's how good he was. So injury has really hampered him, and they'll be keen to get the minutes, which is why you mentioned Chappers. Well, I'm surprised he's probably not starting tonight.
How are they all kept happy, Clinton? Well,
I don't think they are all kept happy, Chappers, and I think that's why these run of games now you've seen Chelsea. I'm not saying it's because players ain't been playing regular, but it's hard to keep players happy. You see Romelu Lukaku come out and do his interview. That's because, and I know it was in the time maybe when he was injured, but when he got back fit, he had to wait 5 or 6 games to get back in. As a centre forward, you want to get straight back in. There's a lot of players that you're thinking that ain't playing as much, a lot of football. Pulisic is probably getting his chance now because Reece James, who's probably been one of Chelsea's best players, is out for a few months now. But Matt's right. When Frank Lampard was here, Pulisic was probably Chelsea's best player. He was in devastating form. He don't want to probably play as a wing back, but he's thinking at the moment, opportunities are so limited at the moment. It's just hard to keep that squad of players, everyone happy. Imagine your midfield when everyone's fit and you got to play 2 out of Kovacic, Jorginho or Kante. It's so difficult because Kovacic is outstanding.
Clint, just a question.
Yeah.
Do you not think, though, Chelsea win trophies, right?
Yeah, they do.
Serial winners. Do you think that's enough, though, to be part of a group that you know you're all pulling in the direction to win a trophy? Whether you start 10 games or 38 games, do you not think that keeps them interested? It keeps them happy, and that's where the manager really, it hooks them in.
Yeah, he does, because then winning the Champions League final, you're thinking, I've got that on my CV massive. When I retire. You've got that massive, whether you played 30-something games or you played 10 or 7 games. But there does come a time in your career, as you would well know, Matt, that if you're not playing enough football, you're thinking to yourself, I need to get out of there and play. Sure. But you are right. I think Tuchel's got that pull where he makes the squad, there's a great togetherness there and no one doesn't feel left out. And I think that is why it's working. But the results you alluded to earlier have not been good enough. And that's why I think come the weekend against Man City, it's winner takes all. If they don't win that game, I think they're out of the title race.
Go on, Matt. You were going to come back.
Yeah, no, I just think that pulling together and winning something as a group is enough. And I think winning trophies is the way you keep it together, Chappers. Because if you're not, then players are just going to look at it and go, well, what am I doing here? Why am I'm getting only starting 10 games a season? I could be playing every week somewhere else, what have you. But I think the pull of playing for Chelsea and winning Premier Leagues, winning Champions Leagues is massive from an individual player's point of view.
You know what else is massive, Chappers?
Go on.
Tonight you're on Zoom, because last week you wasn't on Zoom, so I'm happy today. I feel like you're part of it today. Quality.
Is that what it takes?
That's what it takes. You need my Zoom, as long as I see Chappers' face, I'm happy, and I can get the best out of me.
I have to say, you're in a minority of one there, Clinton, who is happy when they see my face. So that's very, very kind of you. Thank you. So if you want West Ham against Norwich in the Premier League, then that is on 5 Live Sports Extra with updates here on 5 Live. There's a Women's League Cup game tonight. Leicester City 0, Manchester City 4 as they approach half-time. There, the game in League One this evening is Crewe against Charlton. We'll let you know if any goals go in there as well. But our focus here is the second leg of the League Cup semi-final. Tottenham 2 down after that first leg. Matt Upson is at the stadium, but let's be honest, it's all about John Murray.
Well, let me just underline how much I'm looking forward to sitting alongside Clinton here on Sunday, first of all.
You keep digging that hole.
And yes, it's always lovely to see your smiling face. And here we are tonight then, in the Tottenham Stadium with Matt Upson sitting alongside me on a night when I think, Matt, the vast majority of those who are here and everyone tuning in must be expecting this to be a formality for Chelsea to win through to the final next month. It's not full, is it, the stadium?
Not quite.
In the Tottenham sections, there are nearly 6,000 Chelsea fans here. But, I mean, they may be late comers, but in the upper sections, I can see quite a lot of empty seats. But there are still 90 minutes, at least 90 minutes of this tie to be played on what is a cold, clear night. And it is not over for Tottenham yet, even though they will have to have a very good night tonight to turn this around. It is Chelsea who will get us underway. Blue shirts, blue shorts with the yellow and white trim, the white socks, and Tottenham here at their home ground in their first choice colours, the white shirts with the blue numbers, blue shorts, blue socks. Andre Mariner is the referee, and he blows his whistle, and everyone down there on the pitch takes a knee. Fantastic noise inside the ground. That's what Antonio Conte has called for. He said the crowd had to play their part tonight. And Chelsea kick off with Thomas Tuchel's side leading 2-0 from the first leg. They're playing from left to right, and there's Tottenham's first touch. Ben Davies comes across and gets a touch on that. It is Chelsea on the defensive here. Harry Kane gets up for a header, but Azpilicueta sweeps it back to goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga.
Well, straight away, John, you can see that Chelsea have actually slipped into a back four with Sarr at left back. Really interesting. We were talking before the game, we felt that it was going to be a back three with Christensen, Rudiger and Sarr, but it's certainly Sarr at left back, and it's that 4-2-2-2 again, isn't it, with Hudson-Odoi and Mount just behind Werner and Lukaku.
Yeah, exactly so. He's gone with back four again. He said it was a late decision last week, Thomas Tuchel, a last-minute decision because of the problems and the various absentees to go with the back four. But having played so well against Antonio Conte, he's doing it again. So Chelsea starting with a back four. I'll run you through the sides in full in a moment. But Chelsea in possession inside the Tottenham half. Here's Christensen playing as the right-sided of the two central defenders with Rudiger. Now Sarr on the left-hand side, but the ball bounces back to him, and he's forced all the way back into his own half and actually passes it back to goalkeeper Kepa, who clears right-footed and long. So the Tottenham team tonight: Golini in goal, Lloris is on the bench, the club captain. Three central defenders for them: Tanganga, Sanchez and Ben Davies, Emerson Royal and Matt Doherty, the wing-backs, Winks and Højbjerg in the middle. And then, Matt, you wondered what they'd do, Lo Celso, Lucas Moura and Harry Kane.
It's hard to tell at the moment because they're kind of drifting in little pockets, but it's certainly Kane on the point, and whether or not Lucas is going to play up a bit higher with him. It looks like Lucas has just drifted over slightly to the left-hand side, hasn't he, and Lo Celso on the right.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. And Chelsea in possession. Kovacic, who's right on top of his game at the moment. Hudson-Odoi. Now here's Sarr on the left-hand side, and Tanganga is in position to dive forward and headed back out towards the Chelsea left and out for a throw.
Well, that's the difference in the back four. Chelsea just seemed to be able to move the ball through midfield. Sarr had an ocean of space to travel into with the ball, and it's the one thing you're going to lack with him a little bit, is that delivery into the box, that little bit of quality coming in, picking players out. I'm not too sure how good his crossing is, but I'm sure he'll get a few opportunities in this game this evening.
You would not know that it's not absolutely full, would you, with this noise, which is excellent for the start of this game. And as Tony Lipsy was saying to us on Drive, and probably most people have worked out for themselves, really it feels so important that Tottenham can score the first goal tonight. If Chelsea get 3 ahead, well, it'll be nigh on impossible, you would think, for Tottenham. Here's Jorginho going back into his own half. Although I will repeat what I said last week after the Champions League semi-final back in 2019, when Tottenham came back from the seemingly impossible position. I'm never, ever, ever going to write them off again. Tanganga chipping the ball away from the back. towards the halfway line. Still 0-0 on the night. Here's Lo Celso now, but tidied up by Rudiger and Chelsea, with Christensen inside the centre circle. So Chelsea, as Matt Upson said, Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. Then the back four of Azpilicueta, Christensen, Rudiger and Sarr at left back. And then Hudson-Odoi out on the left, Mount on the right, Kovacic and Jorginho in the middle, and Lukaku and Werner up front. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0.
It's very narrow, John, isn't it, when you look at Chelsea at times? It's an interesting tactic from Tuchel, because, you know, Mount and Hudson-Odoi are not really hugging the touchline, are they? They're very central, literally just in front of Jorginho and Kovacic. So a lot of this space for the fullbacks to run into.
Mount putting a challenge in there on Winks, as Winks cleared it away. This is down on the touchline in front of us on the Tottenham left. Harry Winks makes no fuss about that, just gets up to his feet, and Tottenham have it in play again. He just left a little bit on him there.
And straight away, you're just very confident start from Chelsea. Really is very in control of the game. Tottenham get the ball at the back, Werner's pressing, gets a block in, Tanganga trying to find the pass, and he gets tackled straight away. And it's very much the pattern of the first leg, with the press from Chelsea just so impressive, and Tottenham not being able to break the lines with any passes or got any kind of rhythm to their passing.
That is Matt Upson, former England World Cup defender, and we're watching Tottenham coming forward. The ball in the centre circle. Doherty wants it out here on the left-hand side. He receives it, took quite a heavy touch, plays it infield on the chest of Lucas Moura, who got it down quickly. Lucas Moura now, long-sleeved white shirt, black gloves on, gives it to the right-hand side. Emerson Royal, Tanganga makes the run, Kane as well. Flag stays down for Kane as he crosses it into Sarr. The ball stays in play out on the right wing, and it's back to Harry Winks, chosen tonight ahead of Skip, scorer here against Morecambe at the weekend with that shot from out on the left-hand side. Doherty back to Lucas Moura, now to the edge of the box, but Lo Celso couldn't find the pass through. Comes back to Lucas Moura, 22 yards out. Lots of blue behind the ball for Chelsea. Winks into the edge of the area. Heavy-ish challenge from Christensen, and it is a free kick. Andre Mariner thought about it, but Christensen from behind on Lo Celso caught him, and it's a free kick to Tottenham, left of the centre, just outside the D.
Yeah, you just can't make that tackle there from Christensen's point of view. He's tackled through the back of Lo Celso into the ball. Yes, he gets a chunk of the ball, but he kicks straight through Lo Celso, and this is a dangerous area. It's a really good pass from Harry Winks, just a very direct pass, one touch into the front to create that situation.
Looks like only one contender for this, Harry Kane.
It's a nice distance, John, isn't it? Good angle as well, just slightly to the left of the box, perfect for a right footer.
I've seen him score from here before. 6 minutes played. Imagine what the effect of an early goal would be on the tie, certainly on Tottenham, and on the supporters. You'll know about it if this hits the net. So free kick, left of centre, 22 yards out. Kane strikes it straight into the wall, comes back to Harry Kane, edge of the box, back heel flick from him to Doherty, now back to Højbjerg, then Doherty again. Tottenham have still got everyone up. Doherty takes on Lukaku in the right back position, and referee Mariner says, as the ball bounces behind, the final touch was off the Tottenham man, and that's come to absolutely nothing for Spurs.
That's always going to be the problem with Doherty playing on the left. He's just not comfortable going down the line and whipping a ball in with his left foot. He looked completely, not wanting to go on the left. The space was there, but he always wants to cut inside onto his right. Lukaku got the tackling. I actually felt it was a corner, but Spurs back with the ball.
Chelsea rather carelessly have given it away. Winks now to Doherty, who's back onto his right foot again, then gives it to Davis. Now Winks on the left wing. Winks low ball in. Moura with a little bit of space on the edge of the penalty area, quickly closed down. Blue shirts all around him. So Spurs play it back to the left-hand side. Winks, that's a poor ball infield from Winks, and then he slides in and didn't get there. Mount plays it forward, and the ball in the end hits Højbjerg and bounces out of play for a throw-in to Chelsea on the halfway line. So Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0. Choice of listening at the moment for you. The Carabao Cup is here on 5 Live. Tonight's Premier League match is over on 5 Live Sports Extra over in East London. West Ham against Norwich. If you listen to Sports Extra now, you'll hear Alistair Bruce Ball and James Collins. But on 5 Live, John Southall's there.
Good evening, John, and you'll hear that it's West Ham 0, Norwich 0, but West Ham should be ahead. West Ham picked open the Norwich defence early on, 3 minutes in. Jarrod Bowen 14 yards out, unmarked, straight at Krul. It was a good save. Poor marking, should have scored. West Ham 0, Norwich 0.
Here, a chance for Chelsea. Ball fell to Werner outside the D. He tried to lob it into the goal over everyone in the box and just got too much on it on his right foot and lifted it onto the roof of the net.
Yeah, it was a header from Sanchez, gets no height or distance on it, falls to Werner. Wasn't the most confident effort I've seen. He's not a player that's brimming with confidence in front of goal, and that was very much a hopeful effort trying to lob the keeper.
Yeah, Werner, who's struggled with COVID but looked bright when he came on in the first leg and scored in the FA Cup against Chesterfield at the weekend. Barcelona and Real Madrid are playing each other tonight in the Super Cup in Spain, and it is now Barcelona 1, Real Madrid 1, De Jong with the equaliser. So Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0, almost 10 minutes played, and Chelsea with the ball inside their own half. Rudiger with the ball forward towards Kovacic. Now here is Sarr on the left-hand side, Malang Sarr, who is challenged by Lo Celso. Ball rolls out of play, and it is a throw-in to Chelsea. Lo Celso just keeps the ball and then bounces it into Sarr, who takes the throw back towards Rudiger. Thiago Silva and N'Golo Kante are both among the substitutes tonight. They're just coming back from a positive COVID status. Rudiger hits the ball over the top, a long pass, Lukaku gets it down and shoots, and Galini makes the save, and the ball bounces off Sanchez and rolls narrowly wide. And Sanchez, when it hit him on the shins, he thought that was heading into the goal, and he scrambled after it, but it actually rolled wide by a yard.
Well, I just had visions of Tanganga and Davis in the first leg. This was a long ball straight down the middle, and what makes this happen is just the power and strength of Romelu Lukaku. Bullies Ben Davies out the way, gets his arm across him, shrugs him to one side, brilliant chest control, really good left foot strike. It ricochets back off the goalkeeper and just wide off of Sanchez, but a real direct piece of play from Chelsea, just opened up the Tottenham back three.
Corner then, Mount to take it to the near post, headed away for Tottenham by Lucas Moura. And Romelu Lukaku there was not the favourite.
No, it was his weight and strength and power and pace that just got him that little yard the other side of Ben Davies. He got his arm across his chest and just shrugged him out the way. It's exactly the type of play that you're used to seeing Lukaku do, isn't it? It's his real asset, isn't it, John, that he's able just to bully players in those situations.
I was just going to say, if that's the Lukaku that Chelsea see every week,
yeah,
he plays all the time.
That's what they want every week. That's the type of centre-forward play that could, pull the Premier League apart in certain games, and that's what they bought.
Tottenham have given it away. Tanganga, that was a little careless. Lukaku. So there've been a couple of sighters now for Chelsea, a couple of warnings. Still 0-0 on the night, but that could easily have been 1-0. And it actually should say as well, a very decent save by Galini coming out. Yeah. He had to spread himself, and he did, and he made the block from the left foot shot from Lukaku. Pierluigi Galini, who is on loan from Atalanta. But lots of great experience there, Champions League player. As Tottenham take a throw on the far side, Kovacic comes across and blocks Lo Celso. Lo Celso down in a heap on the ground. Kovacic is very much playing the innocent here, palms apart.
Yeah, I
don't know what I did there.
Lo Celso's down holding his face, which I'm not too sure. Perhaps he does get a bit of contact with the side of his face, but Kovacic swings for the ball. They're both going through it. He misses the ball completely. A little bit fortunate maybe not to get a yellow card. I've seen them given for that type of tackle, but Andre Mariner felt it was a fair effort for the ball and is not awarded a yellow card.
Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0. Maybe a little escape for Kovacic from the booking now. Lucas Moura away from Mount. Lucas Moura shoots, but he mishit it. And it was a real dribbler actually across the surface of the grass, and it rolled away from goal and behind by 7 or 8 yards.
It just wasn't set for the shot, was he? One of his classic runs that he makes, he can just go past people with ease. It's the one thing Lucas Moura can do when he's got that turn of pace. The moment he decides and he has that touch around someone, it's very difficult to live with, and he just got a couple of yards but was off balance with the shot.
Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0, still West Ham 0, Norwich 0 in the Premier League. If you're listening to 5 Live tomorrow night, you'll hear Ian Dennis and Dion Dublin. Here's Højbjerg playing it through to Kane with a shot, but it's blocked by Christensen. who came across in the D and just stepped into the way of Harry Kane's strike. Harry Kane staying in position on the edge of the area. Tottenham with it centre field, but it is lost. And here's Lukaku now, taking the ball out towards the right-hand side, taking on Davinson Sanchez, played it beyond him, but Davinson Sanchez comfortably got there first. Back to Galini, Galini passing it out, under pressure from Lukaku, Tottenham playing it out from the back and playing it off the field. Sanchez down in the left-back position, with Chelsea putting on a frightening press and forcing the error.
Little bit of a hairy moment, wasn't it, for Galini? I just thought he'd lost his foot in there and was going to give the ball away, but he found the pass, and Sanchez the one that gave it away. But Lukaku just tried to knock it and run past Sanchez. I don't think he's going to get too much joy doing that. Sanchez is physically pretty strong and can run as well.
Chelsea with a throw, comes back to Azpilicueta, who took it, and then Harry Winks puts in the challenge. I enjoyed hearing Harry Winks. He was on 5 Live. Rob Nothman spoke to him after the match, the FA Cup tie at the weekend. Sounds like a guy who likes his form at the moment, and he cannot get a regular berth in this team, Harry Winks. This is his 5th start under Antonio Conte, and for the new Tottenham manager, this is his 14th match in charge in all competitions. Here's Christensen with the ball on the right-hand side. But he's looked good when he's played. He's looked good. Here's Lukaku playing it forward to Werner, right corner of the penalty area, past Sanchez, then plays it across. It's gone a long way, and the chance for Sarr arriving, hits the shot, and Lo Celso was back in there to block it, and the ball runs away out and behind for a corner.
That's so well worked from Chelsea. Lovely interchange of passing. Lukaku coming short and just laying the ball off. The moment Werner's got that space in the 18-yard box, he's on the right-hand side of the box, he shrugs off Sanchez, who has a nibble at the ball, leaves him for dead, cuts it back for Hudson-Odoi. It's a good tackle from Tanganga, and then, as you mentioned, Lo Celso got back in as Sarr from left-back arrived at the far post, and you feel that Tottenham are going to have to defend like that if they want to stay in this game.
Chelsea are knocking on the door for their 3rd goal of the tie. Tottenham have got to be strong here. A whole group of players just grouped in front of the penalty spot. 6-yard box relatively clear. Here comes the corner from Mount. That's headed away by Harry Kane, unchallenged. Hudson-Odoi gets the ball down and plays it back towards the halfway line.
That was a really well-worked block on that corner. I mean, I think Rudiger and Lukaku had both got free at the back post. Had the ball been delivered to the back post, there were 2 of them free for a header.
Here's Werner on the left-hand side. Werner knocks it back, right for the ball into the area. It's glanced right across the penalty area. Azpilicueta's in there. Doherty had to get there first, and he did. And then Tottenham lose possession. Might have been a foul by Jorginho. No, it's not given. Lukaku back now to Azpilicueta. Square from him. Kovacic to the left-hand side to Werner. Inside the Tottenham box. Werner with a shot. That's deflected up and behind, wide of the near post as he hit it. And Tottenham, little high fives, low fives, little fist bumps, the way that they've held out there. But again, they were their own worst enemy there.
Yeah, being suffocated by Chelsea at the moment. How quick was Jorginho onto that? I mean, the anticipation out of possession. He just sees it, doesn't he? With the reading of the game, when Chelsea don't have the ball, he knows where it's going and he arrives and just puts pressure or even nicks the ball before it arrives. Did it brilliantly there.
Just feels like it might be coming, a Chelsea goal. Mount with the corner in, and it's in! Goalkeeper Galini came for it. He was challenged by Rudiger, and it's Rudiger who got the important touch in off the crossbar, and Chelsea score first on the night. Big trouble now for Tottenham in the semi-final. Chelsea lead 1-0, 3-0 on aggregate.
Well, you called it, John, and it certainly felt that way in the build-up. Spurs really rocking, really struggling to contain this rampant Chelsea team, and it's a set piece that's undone them. A simple corner. It's such poor defending. Nobody physically gets up against Rudiger. He gets a free run. Nobody's alongside him. Galini comes. He misses it with both fists, trying to punch the ball. It almost hits the back of Rudiger's head and his neck on the top of his back and just bounces into an empty net. It's a shambolic goal to concede defensively. Really haven't competed well in that area in this cup tie at all, including the first leg, and they've been punished again.
Well, I'm afraid we talked about the selection of Galini, and even though he's made a very good save from Lukaku, he just didn't cover himself in glory at all.
No.
He came for it, edge of the 6-yard box, as Matt says. He went to punch it, missed it with both gloves, and it hit Rudiger on the back, the top of the back.
It was like the neck, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then went in off the underside of the crossbar. It's a terrible goal. It's a poor goal defensively. It's a poor goal for a goalkeeper.
But goalkeeping wise for sure, but there's no way Rudiger should be able to get rid of his marker and have a free run into the 6-yard box. There was nobody challenging him. He'd had about 4 or 5 strides of a run up, which allowed him to get big and go and attack the ball and be in that area of the pitch to win it. So from all counts, goalkeeper, defensive marking and competing in the air, it was just poor.
So Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1, and it's the Chelsea fans in their corner. There aren't many gaps in their section. Almost 6,000 came, I'm sure, with confidence. Although, despite all of their years, decades of success now, they're just like any other football fans. They never think their team is going to win, and I know there'll be some of them who were worried that this might turn against them tonight. But they've now got a 3-goal lead, and they're singing all of the Chelsea songs in there, standing, applauding, singing in unison. And the way this is shaped up, the way that the first 20 minutes have gone, it is, as was widely expected, going to be a formality for Chelsea tonight.
Well, Chelsea, in terms of winning the ball back in the opposition half or in the middle of the pitch, they've got this air of confidence that the other team aren't going to have the ball from us. We're going to take it back. The moment they lose it, they've just got this confidence and press. Kovacic, they're doing it again now. Kovacic presses straight in on Moura. Lukaku snapping away at Højbjerg. It's just defensively a brilliant setup.
Kovacic is playing well, isn't he, at the moment? Jorginho as well, the UEFA Player of the Year last season. Don't forget, he was 3rd in the Ballon d'Or voting, Jorginho.
They're a good balance, aren't they? Because you've got a player in Jorginho who's, as we've already mentioned, reads it brilliantly, positions brilliantly, ticks it over when he has the ball, and then you've got Kovacic, who's the legs, he's the engine of that room. He's super quick, really fit, gets about the pitch. They really complement each other well.
And then, of course, you've got Kante sitting on the bench, who, even though he's missed a lot of football this season, whenever I see him, he looks absolutely terrific.
He's not bad.
Kane playing the ball from the angle. This is looking for the run of Emerson Royal, who was tracked back into the penalty area by Hudson-Odoi, actually, who did really well there to follow him. And it's come off the Chelsea man in the end, and it is a corner. Corner to Tottenham, their first of the match, but they're already 1-0 down on the night, 3-0 down on aggregate. So corner from the far side. Tottenham need a response, and they need it quickly. That much almost goes without saying. Here it is, into the near post. It's gone a long way. I'm not sure if it took a flick off a Chelsea head, and it runs out of play now, and it did, because it's a throw-in to Tottenham on the left-hand side. Doherty to take this. This would be some comeback now if they're able to do it here tonight. But I refer you to my comments of probably 15 minutes ago. Lukaku receives the ball inside his own half after Tottenham lose possession. Jorginho then back towards the edge of the penalty area. So Tottenham, Antonio Conte making the changes that he made tonight. There will certainly be scrutiny on the choice of Galini, but he said before the match, if you weren't listening to us earlier, Antonio Conte said that he left out Lloris because of the important games that are coming up in the league, the next 3 matches. Kovacic takes the ball on and he's caught by Winks, and it's a free kick on the halfway line.
But that doesn't make sense, John, does it? Given that he didn't play at the weekend. You know, how many games do you need to rest your goalkeeper for? It just doesn't seem to make sense, that comment, to be honest. And it was a massive call because this was a huge game, and that mistake there from Galini really puts that decision under scrutiny, doesn't it?
It does. 1-0 Chelsea lead. Antonio Rudiger scoring his 3rd goal of the season. It's the 2nd goal he's scored in this stadium this season. He was on target, Antonio Rudiger, when Chelsea won 3-0 here in the Premier League in September, when Nuno was the manager. Here's Lukaku, forward to Werner, then back to Lukaku. Now Hudson-Odoi takes it up, advancing towards the corner of the box, takes on Winks, right-footed shot. Galini had to get down and make the save, which he did, to his left, pushed it away wide, and Doherty couldn't keep it in. It's a corner.
I have to say, Lukaku's started well, really used his body, linked up well with Werner to create that chance, and it comes to Hudson-Odoi cutting in from the left-hand side onto his right foot. The moment he faces Winks up, you know he's going to be able to drop that shoulder and get half a yard. Gets onto his right foot and tries to bend that one into the far post. Galini gets down well and just parries it out for a corner, but another really convincing link-up play between Werner, Lukaku, and also you've got Mount running in there as well.
Matt, Chelsea look like they might score every time they come forward.
Yeah, very convincing at the moment.
Another corner to defend for Tottenham. Mount from the right-hand side this time, and Hojbjerg is right underneath it, volleys it away, right on the top of his right boot. But there was no one up there for Tottenham, and Chelsea have got it back inside their own half. Just for the record, by the way, if you weren't listening earlier, as I mentioned, the Tony Livesey drive, the scale of what Tottenham had to do tonight. Only once before has a team recovered from 2 goals or more down after the first leg of a League Cup semi-final to reach the final. Here's Werner on the left-hand side, into the box now. Hudson-Odoi is in there, but Tottenham just about get it away. Hojbjerg was able just to get it away from him, and Tottenham clear, although Doherty has not got it away, and Christensen has got the ball back for Chelsea, and now Azpilicueta on the right-hand side. Azpilicueta to Mount, and then Chelsea go back towards the halfway line.
I mean, they are all over Spurs at the moment. They're just smothering Tottenham completely. They can't get out of their own half. If Tottenham have the ball, Chelsea have this air and arrogance that we're going to just take it back off you whenever we feel like it, and that's what they're doing at the moment. And then they're creating at the same time. Hojbjerg's back in the middle there, getting that tackle in. There's 3 centre-backs for Tottenham, and Hojbjerg's the player making the tackle on the 6-yard line. It's just players taking responsibility, getting out of the box, getting higher up the pitch, being able to compete with Chelsea.
Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. BBC Radio 5 Live. Listeners on BBC Sounds as well, and likewise West Ham 0, Norwich 0, which is over on 5 Live Sports Extra. Still Crewe 0, Charlton 0 in League 1. Last I heard, Ivory Coast were winning 1-0 against Equatorial Guinea in the Africa Cup of Nations. That is still the case. So 1-0 to Chelsea. Let's go back to West Ham. John Southall.
It's still West Ham 0, Norwich 0. We just sense the West Ham goal is coming. They've got a corner over on the left-hand side now. A moment to go. Lovely ball from Fornals to Sofal on the right-hand side. Fornals continued his run. Shot deflected wide as a shot comes in, held by Krul. West Ham 0, Norwich 0.
Yeah, Timo Werner with a run against Tanganga. It was a good contest actually, but as Werner burst into the full-back position, Tanganga all over the back of him, committed the foul. Free kick Chelsea.
Well, Werner can't get that ball. It's that simple. It's a hook round the line from Rudiger. Really good ball actually, just hooked it down the line, but Werner's anticipating it. 3 centre-backs, the right-sided one has to get there first. You have to fill that hole. Werner gets there and just wins the foul, and now it's a really dangerous free kick, in swinging with his right foot. Who's that over the ball, John?
It's Mason Mount.
Mason Mount.
It's about the same position from where Harry Winks scored in the FA Cup at the weekend, if you saw that. And here is Mason Mount, who drives this into the near post. Lucas Moura got his bald head to it to head it away, back out towards the left-hand side, the Chelsea left. Hudson-Odoi back to Mount again. Mount clips it into the box. That's straight onto the head of Hojbjerg. And then Sarr with a touch, and Chelsea have it again in the central third. Sarr, the young Frenchman, with the outside of his right boot. Sarr playing as the left back, if you weren't listening earlier. Chelsea with the back four again, and Chelsea looking almost as strong as they did in the first half of the first leg last week. Chelsea playing it through the middle again. Hudson-Odoi back to Jorginho. Now Kovacic looks up, he sees the pass right out to the right-hand side, backing away. Werner heads it infield. Lukaku is there. Lukaku again, and Chelsea dominating possession now. Concerning times for Tottenham. Rudiger, the goal scorer, turns, gives it back to the captain, Azpilicueta. Space in front of him, and the Spaniard takes it on halfway inside Tottenham territory, plays it to his left to Jorginho. Now Hudson-Odoi makes a run down into the full-back position. Tanganga goes out there. Just a flick back to Sarr, and Chelsea continue just to knock it around from left to right to left to back again. And Azpilicueta now advancing. Jorginho in the middle of the half. Tottenham chasing shadows. Jorginho, low ball through into the penalty area. Lovely ball, Mount. The challenge came in from Doherty. Tottenham still haven't cleared it though, as the ball bounced across the penalty area, away from Emerson Royal. Chelsea again, Tottenham increasingly stretched. Jorginho on the edge of the box. Now Hudson-Odoi into the area on the left-hand side. Emerson Royal goes with him. He plays it back to Sarr, now into the area to Werner, who turns, Tanganga, who just got his foot in and blocked it behind for a corner.
Wow, what a passage of play from Chelsea. Had a little bit of everything, movement, passing, pace, strength. It's just too easy for them at the moment. And I think setting up with the formation again, John, do you not feel that it's almost like doing this, having the same effect as what it did in the first leg? I mean, Tottenham don't seem to be able to see how they can get to grips with where the midfield players are playing. I think, you know, that Winks and Højbjerg are trying to mark 4 players, and you've got 3 centre-backs marking no one virtually. It's just such a mismatch, and, you know, 74% possession at the moment for Chelsea tells a story.
Tottenham are just clinging on. Mount takes the corner from the left-hand side, and it's headed away. It's actually a poor delivery from Mason Mount, although I think, Matt, you had the Tottenham block was in operation again there. Crossfield pass arrives at the feet of Christensen. The ball is played across, but it's above Lukaku, and goalkeeper Golini can come and make the catch. And overarms it out. Tottenham needs something from somewhere. I'm not sure, you know, whether it's a piece of inspiration, just something to change the momentum and change the course of this.
Do you not feel, though, that they're kind of all in space, aren't they, the Tottenham players? They're all marking space when they don't have the ball. Nobody's actually locking in and going and getting tight and affecting the man with the ball, or affecting a player receiving the ball. It's just so comfortable for Chelsea to play their football, and they're doing it really well.
Emerson Royal strays offside, a long pass from centre field for him, but it's a free kick to Chelsea halfway inside their own half. So half an hour played, BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds, Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1, it could be more. I mean, it's a 3-0 aggregate lead Chelsea have got over the play of these 2 matches so far. It could be 4, 5, 6.
He has to change it, though, Antonio Conte. Did not feel like even not even personnel, just tactically, just try and change somehow, because at the moment they're just getting absolutely no joy whatsoever.
Well, he did change it at half-time, didn't he, in the first leg? Maybe it has to happen earlier this time. No Eric Dyer again, so still not ready to come back. Eric Dyer, I know that many Tottenham fans feel that is important. Dyer, who's shown such good form under Antonio Conte, but Tottenham now with a bit of possession inside Chelsea territory. For once, Matt, we're looking to our left instead of down to our right. Here's Winks, low to Lucas Moura, nice flick to Højbjerg. Doherty on the left, steadies himself with a cross into Kane, shoots on the turn, but it's blocked out to Højbjerg, shoots, and it is narrowly wide. Took a deflection off Mount, who turned actually in the face of the Højbjerg shot, just flicked his back. I thought that was going to drop in the top corner, it dropped just wide.
I'm just waiting for the net to bulge, to be honest. It was a wicked deflection, just looped over Kepa, who's never going to get there. Just went about a foot wide of the post.
Tottenham corner then into the near post, and the stretch at the back post. He couldn't get a touch. Harry Kane sliding in right next to the post, and it flashed between the Tottenham captain tonight and the post and through, and it's a goal kick.
It's a brilliant left-footed delivery, great corner. Sanchez goes and attacks the ball, does really well, flicks it outside of his left. Oh, it's just outside of the left post, wasn't it? And Kane coming in with his left foot just to try and tap the ball, and it bounces in front of him. And he lays on the floor, looks to the sky. Really good chance.
You feel, moments like that, it had to go in.
Yep.
From this point on, everything's got to go for Tottenham, and that did not. And it's still 1-0 to Chelsea. And Doherty, deep inside his own half, plays it into the penalty area to Golini, who will pass it forward. But Chelsea are pressing Tottenham with real purpose. And Tottenham lose possession, and Chelsea have got it back near the halfway line. Here's Jorginho. And Jorginho thought about the forward ball, but back it goes. Out to the left-hand side. Sarr and Hudson-Odoi together. Hudson-Odoi playing mainly on the left-hand side. And then back it comes towards Kovacic. Now Rudiger, the goal scorer this evening. Just over 10 minutes to go to half-time. It is still West Ham 0, Norwich 0. Liverpool-Arsenal, the first leg tomorrow night after last week's postponement. So Ian Dennis and Dion Dublin will be live from Anfield tomorrow night. Then Friday night, back to the Premier League, commentary on Brighton against Crystal Palace. Don't forget to go to that, Matt. And Saturday, Newcastle against Watford is a really important game down at the bottom end. And Ian Dennis and Neil Lennon will bring you the commentary.
I thought I was with you on Sunday, John.
Not on Sunday. Do not come here on Sunday. Jorginho to the left-hand side to Werner. Werner takes it on. He's got some space here. Alarm bells clanging again for Tottenham. Werner plays across. Lukaku with a header, but couldn't get enough on it. 10 yards out, and it flew beyond the far post and wide.
I mean, it's a similar type of header to the chance he missed in the first leg. Not as easy as that one. This had a bit more to do, but that little glancing ball across the box, he gets across his man, Lukaku, which is Ben Davies. He's always going to fancy him. You're going to fancy him just to be able to get that little half yard across him. Glances the header, but it's well wide.
We should explain, Matt, shouldn't we, the rules and regulations, because I know people do get lost off with these things. But there is no away goals rule in operation in the Carabao Cup. We could have extra time tonight and penalties, but for that to happen, from this scoreline, 1-0 down on the night, Tottenham would have to win 3-1 from this position, were they not to concede another one. So they need 3 goals without reply. And, well, at least they've managed to threaten the Chelsea goal.
Look, it's a cup tie, isn't it? And if they keep Chelsea at the other end, which they should have done, it should still be 0-0 the game. That chance there can be 2-1, can't it? That's how quickly these games turn. And I think that's what Tottenham are hanging on for. They're just hanging into this game, and a goal could spark something. It's going to be hard now because they've already conceded, and like you mentioned, they need to score 3. So, you know, it's very hard for them, but it can turn quickly.
Chelsea coming forward on the left-hand side. Werner twisting, quick feet against Emerson Royal, kept in by Sarr on the far side. Tottenham think it was out, but it's played up to the edge of the area. Lukaku again, mounts in there, but Tottenham are able to smuggle it away, and then there's a foul on the edge of the penalty area, which brings a free kick to Tottenham, and Lo Celso has been on the end. I think he's indicated it to the referee there. That's the third one that I've been on the other end of.
But that just shows you Sarr, doesn't it? I mean, Sarr's playing left back. He's pushed all the way into basically the edge of the penalty box to put pressure and make that foul on Lo Celso. That's the confidence that Chelsea have out of possession. They can push a full-back in that far, knowing that the centre-backs have got it handled.
Lo Celso, Lucas Moura, forward from him to Emerson Royal. The shot is quite weak, and it's straight at Kepa. And actually, Hudson-Odoi did a great job there as well, not for the first time, tracking Emerson Royal. And it was Hudson-Odoi who put in the challenge and did enough to put off Emerson Royal, who shot straight at the goalkeeper from the angle. Chelsea coming forward again. Here's Hudson-Odoi involved on the other end of the field. He's up against Winks, down in the full-back position. 1-0 Chelsea lead. Now Werner on the edge of the box, back to Kovacic. And then Kovacic goes back towards the centre circle. Sarr, with his white socks slipping down his calves. Malang Sarr. Kovacic now centrally, and then Rudiger. And Chelsea have resumed their position of dominance in terms of the possession. Kovacic, he has it nipped away from him by Harry Kane. Needs a good pass from Tottenham, from Lo Celso. He wasn't able to provide it, and Chelsea have got it back, and now 1 or 2 men stuck downfield for Tottenham. Jorginho to the left-hand side to Hudson-Odoi. Sarr makes a run down the line. It goes back to Kovacic. Kovacic, square to Jorginho. Jorginho, Chelsea's top scorer this season, the penalty king. Hudson-Odoi back to Sarr, then back to Hudson-Odoi again, and Kovacic makes himself available. The photographer in front of us is obviously feeling the heat. He's just pulled off his woolly hat, and the ball's played down the right-hand side to Mount. Ben Davies is able to get there first, and then Sanchez holds off Lukaku, and Tottenham are trying to play it out from the back again, which they do. Winks up to Kane, who has to drop into his own half, and then Kane just hits Winks just hits a ball way downfield, way beyond anyone in white, and Chelsea have got it at the back. So 1-0 continues to be the Chelsea lead here at the Tottenham Stadium. Well, at the West Ham Stadium, John Southall.
It's West Ham 0, Norwich 0, but West Ham thought they'd scored a moment ago. Jared Bowen on the right-hand side with the cross, beat everybody and snuck in at the far post. But Vlasic had just strayed offside and he was interfering with players. He tried to nod it in. VAR looked at it, disallowed. West Ham 0, Norwich 0. And
you can hear Alistair Bruce-Ball and James Collins with the commentary on Sports Extra. Tottenham coming forward. Kane near the edge of the area. Shoulder to shoulder with Rudiger right on the edge of the box. Kane went down, but you could hear the shouts for a penalty from the stands, but no appeal from Kane.
No, I mean, Rudiger had every right to go and get his body, and he's the player that actually gave the ball away initially, and it was a great reaction. He got back into position. The ball was fed straight through to Kane in front of goal, and Rudiger was just recovering, but he was close enough to the ball to be able to get his body in and just nudge Harry Kane. There was contact, but it was never a penalty.
And now Sarr takes the ball forward, and he's bundled over, and it is a free kick to Chelsea on the left-hand side. Antonio Rudiger and Christensen just having a chat together on the halfway line. There's a little bit of an exchange of views between those two. Where do you put Rudiger, Matt, your old position, in terms of his standing in the world game as a central defender at the moment? You can think about that for a little while, because Chelsea have got the ball on the left-hand side, and it goes back to the man we're talking about.
I don't need that much time, John, to be fair. I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it? He is right up there. I like his style. I like his personality on the pitch.
Here's Kane playing it forward from the centre circle. Højbjerg on the chase. Rudiger into the challenge in the box. It's a penalty. It's a penalty to Tottenham. Rudiger was caught out there. Højbjerg just nipped it away from him, and it's a penalty for Spurs.
Well, just when we were showering him with compliments there, Rudiger, he makes a real error of judgment in my view. He's trying to recover into the box, and I think the crowd is shouting off to say it's a sending off. I think
they're shouting off, but he was making a diagonal run towards the full-back position, Højbjerg.
Is that outside the box though, John?
Well, VAR, we do have VAR tonight.
This is outside of the box. He's taking him out, no doubt. He's sliding. He's decided to go to ground, where really, for me, stay on your feet. Don't try and win it there. You don't need to. You're running against Højbjerg. He's going to have the pace to reel him back in. But it's one of those where the initial slide is about 2 metres outside of the box, but is the piece of contact in the box? It's a difficult call.
They slide into the area together.
Yeah.
And Højbjerg actually, I think, taps his own ankles together. And whether Rudiger actually makes contact, VAR are now having a look at this. It's Mike Dean on VAR tonight. And the question is, does Rudiger catch him at all?
I think you're right, he catches his left leg. So he catches his left leg outside the box with his hip, so that the contact for me is outside the box, and then Højbjerg clips his own heels, because he taps his leg that's up in the air, clips his own heels, goes down. But I think, I'm looking at a freeze frame on our little screen here.
Does he clip his own heels because of...
He does there, look.
Yeah, does he do that because, as you said, does he do that because of the contact on his left leg?
Yes, the contact on the left leg.
The left leg is between Rudiger's hip and his arm, Rudiger's arm. But then...
Question, will they go off the contact on his left leg that's outside the box, but his standing foot, his right leg, is actually inside, on the goal line, inside the box?
Well, I think if they do consider that to have caused that Højbjerg to knock his own legs together.
Is he in the box though?
Well, I think they will feel that the challenge has carried on into the penalty area.
Yeah.
And let's have a look what's been given. I think it's been ruled out. It's been given as a free kick outside the penalty area. It's not a penalty to Tottenham. More on this in a moment, but at West Ham, John Southall.
West Ham have the lead. West Ham 1, Norwich 0. Cross from Sofal on the right-hand side, and there was Bowen. And this time it stands. Deft header into the left corner. West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
So here it is Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. And Tottenham thought they had a penalty, but Mike Dean on the VAR has ruled it out. Said it's a foul outside the box.
About 10 minutes ago, you said, John, that everything has to go Tottenham's way now for them to get back in this game, and that is a big decision. I can, when you look at the freeze frame, I can see why they've decided it's outside the box, because the contact the bodily contact happens outside the box, but it's as Højbjerg plants his other foot into the box. So, you know, I'm not sure the exact ruling on that, but they've obviously had a good look at it, and it's literally 2 inches outside of the Chelsea box.
Without VAR tonight, and many of the matches in this competition have been played without VAR, but there is VAR for this. Without VAR, that would have been a penalty. With it, it's not. So it is a free kick instead. And Lo Celso, it's from the right-hand side. It's quite an angle on this. So there's no Harry Kane involvement in this one. It's Højbjerg with the right foot, or more likely Lo Celso with the left. So Kane is actually in the false wall, the mini Tottenham wall. Kepa standing a couple of paces off the line, all in orange, the Chelsea goalkeeper. And there's a Chelsea man crouching down behind the wall. Lo Celso takes it, it hits the top of the Chelsea wall. The wall does its job. It's deflected up and over the top, and it is a Tottenham corner, and Chelsea continue to lead 1-0.
I mean, was that Azpilicueta? I mean, he was taking up a position like a in American football.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
when they passed the ball at the start of the play, when they put the ball through their legs, it was like that, wasn't it? And then he just slid down to lay down to block anything on the ground.
Here's the corner then, into the near post, Mount with a header. Doherty was after it, and it just got sliced away from him. Werner swung a foot at it, got some sort of contact, and it's sliced up and over the top of Doherty and away downfield, and it's still Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. We're in the 45th minute. West Ham 1, Norwich 0. The latest in League One is Crewe 1, Charlton 0. Oliver Finney for Crewe with the goal. Crewe, who are down in the relegation zone. And here, Tottenham with not quite the mountain to climb, but not far short. Davis on the left. Davis still going. Doherty now moves infield. Doherty, it's a little bit of talk that he might be on his way this month, possibly. Might be a bit of Tottenham movement. 3 minutes of added time. And Tottenham with Emerson Royal, who loses out to Hudson-Odoi. He's done well, he's had a good first half. Callum Hudson-Odoi, both ends of the field. Tottenham again, no ball played into the penalty area. That's stabbed away by Christensen. And then a shot comes in from Ben Davis, 25 yards out, but that bounces well wide by 4 or 5 yards. And it is a goal kick. So Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. And Antonio Rudiger, just as we were talking about him, we thought he'd conceded a penalty, but no.
Should we get back to that discussion?
Yes, let's go back to that one, shall we? Yes, we're on safe ground.
Hopefully he won't give a penalty away or anything, as we're talking about how good he is. And no, I think he's a massive player for Chelsea. And
so if you're Chelsea, do you pay him what he wants?
Well,
huge wages by all accounts.
I think if you're going to have to fill that void, are you not going to have to go and buy a player and then pay them well also? You know, I don't know the numbers, and I'm not too interested in that. It's just more about what he brings to this team at the moment, whether or not you're getting more from him because he's coming to the end of his contract. It's an exciting time, but I think he's shown that he's consistent enough at this club over the last 2 seasons to be a top centre back, and he's certainly playing like that at the moment.
Yeah, and it might just be, he's been at the club now for 5 years, nearly 5 years, going on 5 years, that he wants to change the scenery.
Maybe, and that's fine, but he gets on people as well, John. You know what I mean? Like he's one. It probably can be quite annoying to play with, but in a good way. In the fact that if you standard slip or if you make a mistake, he's probably the first one to let you know. And I think that's important in a dressing room.
Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. We're well into added time at the end of the first half. We'll hear more from Clinton Morrison at half-time. And Chelsea with Kovacic playing it out towards the left. I think quite a number of people have actually disappeared. They are heading towards the exits to some of those almost irresistible food outlets and bars that they have in the new Tottenham Stadium here.
I see you enjoyed the pre-match catering, John.
Yes,
very nice.
I always do. Yes, although somebody had taken almost all of the custard, which was disappointing just before I got there. Here's Rudiger out to the left-hand side.
I wonder who that was.
I don't know. There are a number of suspects. As the ball is up towards Werner on the halfway line, Tanganga puts in the challenge. Moura back to Tanganga, gives it to the left-hand side, but Chelsea are quickly back in position. And Tottenham go all the way back to Davis. You can hear the reaction to that. There's a bit of upset around the Tottenham Stadium in the home sections because of the way that they're being outplayed by Chelsea again in this semi-final. And there's the half-time whistle. Listen to this reaction. Well, they tried to play the music in, but they couldn't beat the boos.
Tried to drown it out, I think.
What do you think?
I think you've just summed it up. It's another example of Chelsea's dominance playing against Tottenham, and it's a grudge match, isn't it? It's got history, it's got a little bit of feistiness, this fixture, from over the past, certainly the recent seasons, and Tottenham just aren't able to compete on the pitch at a level that their supporters, are able to get behind. It's so controlling, it's so dominant, both in and out of possession from Chelsea, that you can only arrive at one feeling or one conclusion, and that's a Chelsea win.
Yeah, Tottenham have had a couple of opportunities, but Chelsea have had lots. Scored one, the Rudiger goal in the 18th minute when goalkeeper Galini missed his punch from the corner. Chelsea could have had more. It's just like last week. Chelsea are leading. It could be by more. They could be out of sight. And Tottenham have the slimmest of slim chances. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1 at half-time. That's 3-0 on aggregate.
One game in the Premier League this evening as well. West Ham against Norwich. John Southall.
And West Ham lead at half-time by 1-0. Deserved half-time lead. Jared Bowen with the goal. David Moyes last week said he should be knocking on the England door now. Jared Bowen, well, he's been central to things again tonight. Had a goal disallowed for Vlasic offside, but 6 minutes later, just before half-time, he made it count. Soufal cross from the right-hand side, and Bowen guided his header into the left-hand corner. 6th of the season to go with his 7 assists. He should have scored actually after just 3 minutes, but denied by Krul. Norwich, well, you have to say it looks an uphill task for them now. They have created very little. Rashica, tame shot, and that just about the sum total of it. So as it stands, West Ham heading back into the top 4. West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
In the Women's League Cup this evening, just over 10 minutes to go in this. Leicester 0, Manchester City 5. In League One this evening, half-time here, and Crewe lead Charlton by 2-0. Both Italy and Spain are having their Super Cups tonight. Inter against Juventus, 10 minutes to go till half-time in that game. Inter 0, Juventus 1, and 10 minutes or so to go till full-time in the Spanish Super Cup, and it's Barcelona 1, Real Madrid 2. You're up to date with all the football this evening. Nick Hatton has your news.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Mark. Boris Johnson is facing calls from senior Tories and opposition parties to resign after he admitted attending a drinks party in Downing Street during lockdown. The leader of Scottish Conservatives, Douglas Ross, said the Prime Minister should go after acknowledging that he could have handled things differently. The Tory chair of the Public Administration Committee, William Wragg, called his position untenable. Well, the Environment Secretary, George Eustace, said he hoped that many MPs would accept Mr Johnson's apology.
What a lot of the Conservative Parliamentary Party wanted to see today was an apology and an acknowledgement from the Prime Minister that these revelations that have been coming out over the last few weeks have been deeply frustrating for everyone and have angered the public. And they wanted him to demonstrate and to show that he absolutely understood why. And I think he did that.
A lawyer for Virginia Giuffre, Prince Andrew's accuser, has said she's very pleased that a civil trial can now consider the allegations after a New York judge denied his attempt to get her case thrown out. Prince Andrew denies claims of sexual abuse when she was 17. Our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell says his legal options are narrowing.
I think the weight of opinion amongst lawyers would be that he will have to now seek an out-of-court settlement. But of course, an out-of-court settlement requires both sides to agree. And there are certainly, I think, suggestions that at the moment, whether it's for tactical reasons or not, that Virginia Giuffre wants her day in court. And all of this, 3 days now after Buckingham Palace confirmed the programme for the Platinum Jubilee.
The Court of Appeal is to review the sentence handed to the mother of the murdered toddler Star Hobson after the Attorney General said she thought it was unduly lenient. 20-year-old Frankie Smith was sentenced to 8 years for causing or allowing her death, whilst her partner Savannah Brockhill, who's 28, was jailed for a minimum of 25 years for murder. French police are questioning a man over the unsolved murder of a British family in the Alps in 2012. Saad Al-Hili, his wife Iqbal, his mother-in-law Sahela Al-Alaf and French cyclist Sylvain Mollier were found shot dead on a road near Lake Annecy. And more than a quarter of British girls born in 20 years' time will live to be at least 100 years old, according to official estimates. But analysts have downgraded overall life expectancy, with children born in 2020 expected to die almost 5 years earlier than previously thought.
On BBC One.
The Apprentice is back. The theme tune, the deal closing, running in heels and the power posing. The wake-up calls, awkward hugs, Lord Sugar pointing and the cafe mugs. The you're fired, Karen sighing. Not forgetting the receptionist and the panic buying. Deadwood, dodgy puns, even Tim from Series 1.
The Apprentice, Thursday night at 9 on BBC One and iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Chelsea lead Tottenham by a goal to nil at half-time, so they're 3-0 up on aggregate. Second half on the way. If you want the Premier League game between West Ham and Norwich, with West Ham a goal to the good, then that is on 5 Live Sports Extra this evening. Let's check in at the Masters Snooker. Jamie Broughton.
And the first round action is continuing, Mark, and Karen Wilson has made a fast start tonight against the 2020 champion Stuart Bingham. He knocked in breaks of 57, 82 and 79 as he raced to a 3-0 lead. Bingham then responded with a 96 break to reduce the arrears to 3-1 at the mid-session interval. 6 is the target to play Judd Trump in the quarter-finals.
Let's talk about the Africa Cup of Nations, shall we? One game going on at the moment, and Ivory Coast lead Equatorial Guinea by a goal to nil. Max Gradle getting the goal for the Ivory Coast just 5 minutes into the game. Earlier, Gambia beat Mauritania by a goal to nil. The real story, though, centres around the early game where it finished Mali 1, Tunisia 0. We can talk to George Addo, who's covering the tournament in Cameroon. Clinton Morrison with us as well. I mean, this was a chaotic shambles, George. There's no other words for it.
Yes, clearly. It's very, very difficult to understand or try to understand what was going on with the Zambian ref, Gianni Sikazwe. I mean, everything about the game. And I know a lot of people have spoken about why he would end the game before full time on 85 minutes and then on 89 minutes, 47 seconds. But I will tell you about the full game. So there were bigger issues even to sort out before I come back to how the game ended. Now, he gave Mali a penalty after a ball hit, the hand of, hit Sikri's hand. His hand was in natural position, but Mali were given a penalty. He also awarded a penalty to Tunisia after the ball hit Janipo's hand, which was also in natural position. And I'm saying this because he had the opportunity to go and look at the VAR, to go and have a look at the video, because he had video technology in this Africa Cup of Nations. And then he stopped the match at 85 minutes, then reversed it, stopped the match at 89 minutes and went in. So now let me get back there, because after he stopped the match on 89 minutes and all ended, after 20 minutes, while the Mali manager, Mohamed Magasuba, was having his post-match press conference, CAF officials interrupted and ordered the game to be played to its conclusion. The CAF officials insisted that the game had to end and they had to play at least 3 additional minutes. At this time, some Tunisian players were already taking their shower. Some of the fans had left the pitch, were going back. I mean, clearly the game is over. Some of the wards who were there were moving. And then after a brief period, the referee, Gianni Sikazwe, and the CAF officials came on the pitch with the Malian team. The Tunisian team decided not to come back on the pitch because apparently they were going to be writing or putting out a protest to the Confederation of African Football, and decided not to come on the pitch. So then the picture was that on the pitch, the referees were there with the Malian team, and after a while, there was a whistle that officially ended the game. Absolute shambles in something that was worth for exit.
George, wasn't it gonna be a different referee when they came back out for the third time? I heard it was gonna be a different referee, but Tunisia still didn't want to come back. I watched the game. I watched it. You are right. I think the refereeing in the African Cup of Nations has been brilliant. I've watched every game, but some of the refereeing decisions are not good enough. You're right. The 2 penalties today, they should never have been penalties. One of the players has turned his back and the ball's hit his arm and it's by the side of him, and they've given him penalty decisions. So, yeah, I do think the standard of referees not been good enough. The standard of football, I think, has been brilliant, but I'm surprised Tunisia didn't come back out because there's probably about 6 or 7 minutes still to go.
Yes, you are very right. They were going to end the game with a different set of officials. Of course, a different referee was going to do that. But this is the quote from the Tunisian head coach, Kebaya, when he was asked about all of this, because, they had a first press conference and they had a second press conference. Now, while we all thought on the pitch during the first, after the first press conference, that it was because they were going to be writing a protest and we're going to protest to the Confederation of African Football, the Tunisian head coach at the press conference said, and I'm quoting him, the players were taking ice baths for 35 minutes before they were called back out again. I have been coaching for a long time, never seen anything like this. Even the fourth referee was preparing to lift the board and then the whistle was blown. This is what he said at the press conference. But officially, we know Tunisia have written to the Confederation of African Football protesting. It's very, very interesting. I don't know if we're going to go into the rules and how this is going to be, because I went through the rules for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, and Article 82 does suggest that Tunisia obviously shall be considered a loser and will be eliminated for good from the competition. But the question is, Tunisia may argue that the match did not end, and that is where they will go through it. Because once they had come back on the pitch, the Malians and the referees, and Tunisia decided not to come, it's more of like they forfeited the game, and CAF can go on with Article 82. But I'm sure there will be a serious contention there when they sit down to try and look at the issue, because Tunisia are going to argue so much that the game did not end rightly. It's amazing as well that referee Gianni Sikazwe did not do a lot of good to his own reputation. Mark Clinton, only 2 years ago, CAF suspended Gianni Sikazwe for biased officiating. So this is very, very bad for him. And at this stage,
hang on a minute. They can't kick Tunisia out because several minutes after the game was finished, they then decided they actually had to properly finish, and Tunisian players were in an ice. They can't kick Tunisia out for not coming back out, surely.
Yeah. Yes, that is where the bone of contention will be, and it would be very, very, very difficult, to say that Tunisia are wrong here. Mark, I was just doing some analysis on, because we are even talking about just 90 minutes. Aside 90 minutes, they really deserved to have enjoyed some extra time, some added time, because if you look at what happened in the competition, in the game involving Tunisia and Mali in Limbe, look, we had 8 substitutions. We had 2 video assistant referee checks. There was a red card. And if you put all of this together, I am of the opinion that the game deserved about 6 minutes or 5 minutes extra time. And so Tunisia will have a very, very good case to put up to CAF, to tell CAF that this game didn't end well. And I'm sure Tunisia are going to be pushing for a replay.
George, does people across the globe complain about refereeing decisions, handballs, VAR, red cards, yellow cards, etc., etc.? Does anybody know why he blew for full time on 85 minutes? That's the one bit that you go, hey, how has that happened?
The watch stopped.
Mark, I've been reading so hard. I've been trying so hard to listen to a lot of people. And, well, there are two theses to try and support what happened. One, I'm hearing and I'm reading that he may have had a heat stroke. Right. And even if he may have a heat stroke in the last 15 minutes of the game. But the incidents we are talking about was still a poor game from the start to the end. And if he had a heat stroke and any of the officials were aware, these days you have substitute referees and all, somebody could come in for him. And so that excuse itself is not too strong. The second one I'm hearing is that he may have had a problem with his watch because maybe he didn't stop it when it was time for halftime or when people were going in there. I don't see how that works, because if the referee whistled, and this is the point, if he whistled on the 85th minute and anyone realized that there was a mistake, it's a whole team. But the whole team tells you that, no, your timing is wrong. And so maybe we give you the information to continue. Then he whistles again. The second whistling is also wrong. There is no logical explanation for this. No logical explanation. I've tried so hard.
And the danger here is that everybody talks about this a lot and doesn't really talk about the football. Now, Clinton said, he's enjoyed the tournament so far. I mean, nine of the 12 games so far have finished 1-0. But the danger, I suppose, is that people focus on this here, George, rather than how the tournament has gone and is going to go.
I'm really hoping that people don't focus on this. It is really taking the shine off, I would say, a very brilliant game we all were talking about yesterday when Nigeria played against Egypt. That was top-class football. Iheanacho scored a fantastic goal, and everyone was talking about that game being the best game of the competition so far. And we were looking forward to Tunisia versus Mali. The reason why this hurts a lot, Mark, is that Tunisia and Mali was one of the grade A games, because Tunisia have won the Africa Cup of Nations before. Mali are always in and out there in the semi-final. Everyone was looking forward to this clash. And if this happens, it makes it really, really bad. The competition has been great. We have had lovely stories like Algeria playing against Sierra Leone, the Leone Stars picking out a draw, celebration, tears of joy from Mohamed Kamara, the goalkeeper, who was man of the match. We have seen games like Cameroon, Burkina Faso. That was absolutely great. We saw Morocco beat Ghana by 1-0. We saw Senegal up against Zimbabwe. Excellent. We saw even the Comoros Islands, Ethiopia. It's just going to be really, really sad. But I hope that we can look beyond this, because in other competitions, some referees make mistakes. I can agree, not on this level though.
George, thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate that. George Addo covering the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon. Thanks to Clinton as well. More from Clinton at full time, having just criticised the referee for messing up his timings. We're late for the second half. John.
And it is underway. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. No changes at half-time. Talking to Matt Upson at the break, we thought Antonio Conte might, as per the first leg last week, make some changes, maybe a change of formation, but he's carried on as he started the match.
Yeah, it looks to be exactly the same with that back five. Emerson Royale, right wing back, Doherty at left wing back, and it just, in those areas of the pitch, Tottenham haven't really been threatening, especially on the left. They really lack that balance of a left footer, don't they, being able to cross the ball and get forwards in that wing back position. And Chelsea pretty much as they were as well.
So Tottenham defending as Chelsea come forward. Jorginho to Kovacic. Chelsea playing from right to left. That's the end where all of those thousands of Chelsea fans are, expecting to watch their team reach another final today. Hudson-Odoi, lovely work on the left-hand side, chips it to the back post, and Ben Davies was there. He wasn't sure where Werner was, and he just nodded it behind. Corner, Chelsea.
Yeah, he was lurking, wasn't he, Timo Werner? Not the type of player that's going to come crashing across the face of you and head one in, but he was certainly just pulling off the shoulder of Ben Davies, and he had to deal with it.
The ever popular Mason Mount trots into the corner. 23 on Monday. Player of the Year for Chelsea last season, in that excellent season that was capped by winning the Champions League for the second time. So Mount, applauded by all of those Chelsea fans, takes the corner out to Rudiger with a header, but it's over the top this time by a yard. But he got up high, won a good header, but couldn't keep it down.
Another header that Rudiger wins, and at least he gets tracked by, I think it's Tanganga, who has the responsibility of marking him, but he doesn't quite get close enough, allows Rudiger to run and jump, and he gets up ahead of him, and it's actually off his shoulder, Rudiger. He doesn't get a clean head on it. If he had done, Tottenham could have been in even more trouble.
Well, he's already scored one off the back of his neck.
Yeah, perhaps he's thinking that's the best way to go.
The famous neck-shoulder double.
Just neck it in.
Neck it in, as Ian Dennis sometimes says. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. Tanganga clearing the ball to the halfway line to Winks. You'll hear Ian tomorrow night, by the way, at Anfield with Dion Dublin. First leg of Liverpool against Arsenal. Then Brighton Crystal Palace on Friday night. Newcastle Watford is the 3 o'clock commentary on Saturday. But Chelsea playing the ball out from the back with here is Rudiger, scorer of the only goal so far, and Sarr infield towards Kovacic, who does well to keep the ball in between two Tottenham players, Moura and Lo Celso, and Chelsea played out towards the far side. So the Tottenham team, Golini in goal, was caught out really for the goal that was scored by Rudiger. Then the three central defenders for Spurs, Tanganga, Sanchez and Davis, Emerson Royal on the right, Doherty on the left, Højbjerg and Winks in the middle, Lo Celso, Moura and Kane. And Chelsea with Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. Back four, Azpilicueta, Christensen, Rudiger and Sarr. And then Jorginho and Kovacic in the middle. Then Mount and Hudson-Odoi wider, and Werner and Lukaku. So Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And Chelsea with Azpilicueta. He's another one who's out of contract at the end of this season, the Chelsea captain. You would it would be almost unthinkable for Chelsea these days not to have Azpilicueta as part of the furniture. Here's Sarr on the left-hand side. Sarr passing it up towards Lukaku, who is well challenged by Tanganga. Then Højbjerg dives in on Jorginho. The ball bounces to Mount. Azpilicueta's onto this on the right-hand side. Azpilicueta back to Jorginho. Then a pass onto the chest of Werner. Bounced off his chest, but Chelsea keep possession and have it on the halfway line.
I mean, I'm really enjoying watching Jorginho this evening. I mean, he's not the most mobile player on the pitch, is he, in terms of pace and being able to run, but how he anticipates and reads the game is just great to see. He can see as the play's development where the pass is going to go. He makes the run, he steps in, he either wins the ball or he puts the player under pressure receiving it, and that's been the key to this performance from Chelsea this evening. All across the pitch, every player has done that brilliantly, and they've just not allowed Spurs to get any kind of head of steam or any confidence in the game.
Yes, if this pans out as we expect, certainly with the scoreline that we have, this will continue to fuel the discussions about what Tottenham might do, not only in this transfer window but in the summer as well. As Sarr curls the ball forward, Tanganga backpedaling, heads it away on the edge of the box. Lukaku was behind him. Spurs back towards Davis, hits it up towards Harry Kane. No Son for Tottenham. He's out with the injury that he has at the moment, the muscle injury that will keep him out for a few weeks. Werner now to Mount. The space for Hudson-Odoi on the edge of the area. Tanganga puts in the challenge back to Mount in the box. Well, that was clumsy-ish from Doherty. Mount kept his feet. He might have gone down there. Jorginho outside the area, plays it square. Sarr with a chance to shoot, but that's blocked. A sliding interception by Lo Celso, who then fouls Sarr as the ball ricocheted towards the touchline on the left-hand side, and in his enthusiasm, over-exuberance to get there, fouled Sarr, and it's a free kick to Chelsea.
I think the key there with Chelsea is that they had options in that instance. I mean, it was Werner that allowed that opportunity to happen, and he made another little run just trying to go round the back of Ben Davies, I think it was, on that left-hand side. And I thought the pass from Mount probably should have gone to Werner. He had the legs to get round the outside and then be cutting it back across the 6-yard line, but the options they have in that area of the pitch once they get in control possession is, pretty impressive, in the movement as well.
Mount in this very familiar way gets the ball in his hands, bounces it 2 or 3 times, then puts it down to take this free kick, right-footed, so it's an in-swinger towards the penalty spot, takes a flick off a Tottenham head, straight up in the air, bounces down. Højbjerg claims he was fouled by Rudiger. Referee Mariner agrees, and it is a free kick to Tottenham inside their own penalty area. So 1-0 to the away team here at the Tottenham Stadium. Still 1-0 to the home team at West Ham. John Southall.
It is West Ham 1, Norwich 0. 53 minutes played. Could have been 2 a moment ago though. Michail Antonio, great strength, 6 yards out, held off Grant Hanley, spun him and shot over the bar. West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
And Tottenham on the break coming forward, but they wasted really a pass from centre field looking for Kane, but it was nowhere near him, and the ball runs through to Kepa.
No, it was horribly overhit from Harry Winks. A little bit of space opened up, nice movement from Moura coming inside. He just tried to play a straight pass down the side of Harry Kane to put him through on goal, and Harry Winks got it all wrong in terms of the weight of pass, was far too strong.
And Crewe are now 2-0 up on Charlton in tonight's match in League One. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. And Chelsea with the ball in centre field. I must say as well, I couldn't help but notice Kidderminster had a very good win last night against struggling Farnsley Celtic, but to win off the back of the win against Reading. Sarr on the left-hand side goal gets his cross all wrong, and that just drifts away behind for a goal kick. Never easy, that, is it, in Kidderminster's position to follow it up the following midweek, but they did.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, how many of those teams that performed like that in the FA Cup at the weekend have gone on to win their next league game? You know, the players give so much in those matches, and it's like the emotion of it all can really drain you. So all credit to teams that can then go, especially away from home, or have a midweek fixture and go and win.
Yeah. Memorable trip to Agbra on Saturday. My first. Have you been to Agbra?
I have, yes.
Have you?
Yes.
Happy memories?
Not particularly.
No.
Not something that jumps out in my mind.
No, but you have
joyous
been there.
moment.
For the record,
I have.
You've been there.
I have been there. Yeah.
Right. Here's Christensen with the ball at the back. Azpilicueta curls a long ball down the line. This is Werner against Sanchez. Ball bounces between them. Werner sticks out a foot, is able to pull it down, then under pressure from Sanchez, plays it infield. Now Kovacic, slightly crouching Kovacic, the Croatian international, chips it to the left-hand side. Sarr is there, Hudson-Odoi, Lukaku out on the left-hand side, still yet to score in this semi-final. Lukaku, he was the man we were all talking about last Wednesday. But here, Christensen with the ball out towards the right-hand side to Mount. Azpilicueta making a run on the outside. Mount, low ball into the middle, but cleared by Sanchez. Only back to Chelsea again. Mount, and it's the Chelsea fans you can hear in their corner. Back it goes towards Kovacic. Now Kovacic tried to play one of those whipped passes to the edge of the area, but Mount didn't make the run. So Tottenham now with Kane. Kane beats two men, then beats Rudiger, and Kane now takes it on. It's 3 against 1. Lucas Moura, goalkeeper Kepa comes out, and he gets to. Oh, it's given us a penalty. What? Well, I thought he got the ball.
Wow.
And referee Mariner saying he might have got the ball, but he got the man as well, and that is given as a penalty to Tottenham.
Well, what are the chances of that not being overturned, John, from what you've seen
on
real
first
time?
View, I was not expecting a penalty to be awarded there. I thought the goalkeeper Kepa coming out feet first on Moura, who seemed to have a lot to do.
He's won the ball. It's pretty clear. I mean, I've just seen the replay on the screen. He's clearly won the ball. And then Moira has gone straight over his feet, but the first contact from Kepa's with the ball, it looks very clean on the slow motion.
Already Mike Dean, the VAR, already Mike Dean has said to Andre Mariner, come and have a look at this on the screen on the far side, and I think this will be overturned.
I mean, I don't understand how Andre Mariner has arrived at that decision from the position he was on the pitch to give a penalty.
Yeah, but it's all about perspective, isn't it? It's all about angles. Yeah. But I'm surprised that he's given that.
It's very clear, very clean win. Lucas Moura just can't get a toe on the ball. I thought, it was a really good breakaway for Tottenham, and we've seen a couple of chances in this game for them, haven't we? And they haven't been able to be clinical enough in front of goal.
Now what has he given? I don't see the rectangle there, so it looks as though he's given the penalty. It looks as though he's sticking with the decision.
I don't understand.
Or is he?
I don't. What has he given?
No, it's no penalty. It's no penalty.
You had me worried for a moment there,
I know,
John.
Yeah. And Azpilicueta, I think Azpilicueta was confused because he ran to the referee. I think it's because we didn't see the rectangle.
Okay, yeah.
So the penalty is overruled, which is the right decision.
Absolutely, it was a glaringly right decision. It's actually a really well-timed challenge from Kepa, who had to just keep his nerve and just hold his position, wait for that heavier touch, then came out and made the tackle and won it cleanly.
So now Tottenham have been awarded a penalty twice in this match, but both of them have been overturned correctly because of the intervention of VAR. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1 remains the score. And at West Ham, John Southall in the Premier League.
Still 1-0 to West Ham against Norwich, almost to the lovely through balls from Fornals to Bowen.
John Moura is breaking away into the penalty area, to the edge of the box. He's challenged, but it's a good tackle. Christensen and Rudiger coming together, and the ball bounces behind for a corner. Carry on.
Yeah, Bowen into the area, 12 yards out, clipped it over Krul, but off the crossbar. West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
And that continues. The commentary on 5 Live Sports Extra with Alistair Bruce Ball and James Collins via BBC Sounds as well. Here's the corner for Tottenham, which is swung in left-footed by Lo Celso. Chelsea clear back towards Lo Celso, and then Emerson Royal wins a corner off Sarr, and Tottenham are threatening to build a little bit of momentum here.
It was just that first little taster of what Lucas Moura can offer when he burst past players. I mean, it was devastating pace, he's electric, and Christensen had to be alive.
Another corner for Tottenham. Lo Celso, goalkeeper Kepa, comes for it. He got gloves to it in amongst a crowd of players. There was a little bit of a shout that he might have been fouled there, but Tottenham still in possession. It's played square by Højbjerg. Now Lo Celso plays it down the line. Tanganga's after it, but Sarr will get there first, slides in, and is able to tackle the ball out of play. 15 yards away from the halfway line is where it runs out. So Tottenham have it again. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. So Chelsea have a 3-0 lead on aggregate. And in order to take this to extra time, Tottenham have to score 3 goals without reply in just over half an hour. Tottenham with it on the left-hand side. Davis takes it on. Here's the cross, and the header by Emerson Royal is saved by Kepa, diving to his left. Pressure though from Spurs. In it comes from the right-hand side from Winks. That's headed up and away by Rudiger. Winks gets it again. Now Tottenham with it just near the right corner of the box. Little ball from Højbjerg. Kane turns, slips it forward. Oh, he overhits it through, and it's a goal kick, and it's come to nothing. But the Tottenham fans down there in the safe standing on their feet, they've had really only crumbs to cheer. But that's enough, and that's enough encouragement. That's all the encouragement they need.
It's a good chance as well, isn't it? I mean, I don't think Emerson Royal really makes the most of that opportunity. He gets good contact with the ball, and he gets it on target, so credit for that. But that's one of those headers, you just got to punch it back across the goal where it came from. He gives Kepa a chance to save it, which he does really well, but he shouldn't have a chance if he heads it cleanly and just heads it back across goal.
Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. Kane picks out Emerson again on the right-hand side. Emerson, chips it. There are 3 Tottenham players in the middle, and he's overhit it. Spurs player did go down in the box. Højbjerg's claiming that he was fouled. Tottenham still with it on the left-hand side. The ball chipped in. Chelsea headed up and away, still inside the penalty area. Shot from the angle from Lo Celso. That's blocked. Comes out for Chelsea. The danger here is that Chelsea could be away on the counter-attack. Oh, Tanganga dived in on Lukaku there, who did well to step away from that, because if Tanganga had made contact there, the way that he came in for that challenge, he could have been in danger of a red card.
Yeah, he got a little piece of the ball which saved him, but you're right, Lukaku just pulled out, because Lukaku in that situation usually likes to really back his body into the challenge and just shrug people off, but he saw the kind of ferocity that Tanganga was coming into the challenge and just stepped away.
So 1-0 Chelsea lead in the Spanish Super Cup tonight. They are into extra time between Barcelona and Real Madrid. And our erstwhile colleague David Ornstein was in touch a little bit earlier on, reminding me that that's a tournament now, the Spanish Super Cup. It's a 14 tournament that is being played in, guess where? No prizes for guessing. It's in Saudi Arabia, and it is Barcelona 2, Real Madrid 2, Atletico Madrid and Athletic Bilbao are the other 2 teams involved, and it's into extra time in what is the semi-final of that tournament. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. And if you're a football administrator in this country, don't go getting any big ideas. Don't worry, I think they'll have had those ideas already.
Don't we need another little tournament, don't we, John?
That's what we're missing, isn't it?
We're missing a nice winter tournament to add to the fixture list.
Well, Chelsea are going to be off to a winter tournament, at least they're scheduled to. They're going to Abu Dhabi next month, when a couple of matches will have to be postponed while they're playing in the FIFA Club World Cup. Tottenham. Chelsea have lost it on the edge of the area. Lucas Moura to Kane. Kane scores! And Tottenham have got one goal. And this time Chelsea have been the architects of their own downfall. They were messing about with it at the back. Lucas Moura nipped it away and set up Harry Kane, who was able to roll it in and make it Tottenham 1, Chelsea 1 on the night. So that's 3-1 to Chelsea on aggregate now.
Well, all credit to Højbjerg, I think it is, who just carries on the press. Kepa plays a really straight pass. There's a hint of offside here because Kepa is ahead of Harry Kane. This could be ruled out for offside.
It's offside, you're right, Matt.
It could be a third goal because Kepa was so far in advance. Harry Kane is in an offside position when he receives the ball, and it's going to be a third. Well, we're saying 2 penalties.
Kane surely is offside. Yes,
and
there
it
is. It's offside. It is offside, that's confirmed. They don't know that in the stadium on the massive screens, the 4 screens, it just says check and goal, possible offside. And there are the Chelsea cheers. They know now. They can see Andre Marina saying offside, and the goal is ruled out. So it goes from bad to worse for Tottenham. They've now had 2 penalties and a goal overturned by VAR, all the right decisions.
Yeah. So you can't, you can't put it as bad luck, can you? It's just one of those nights where it's nearly there, and it's just not happening for Tottenham. I don't think they have quite done enough to get themselves back in the tie, certainly on the night. In this last 10 minutes, though, John, they've really stepped it up, haven't they, in fairness? They've started to press Chelsea. Where that goal came from was a press from Højbjerg, and they've been far more on the front foot. I'll give them that credit.
So the first substitution is made after that, and it's Ryan Sessegnon who comes on to play in the left wing-back position. Matt Doherty comes off, and Chelsea are going to make a triple change very shortly. So the score, Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1 remains the score, so still 3-0 on aggregate. Were it not for VAR, Matt, we'd have an absolute classic on our hands here tonight.
We would. We'd have a belting finish to this tie.
Tottenham would be right in this. But Mike Dean at the controls at Stockley Park has been the real party pooper. But as they say, all of the decisions were correctly overturned.
They're not bad players to bring on here either, are they, in this kind of situation?
First one's Thiago Silva for Christensen. Also coming on, Marcus Alonso.
A little bit of experience there, isn't there?
And Werner is making way, and Mason Mount number 22 is replaced by Ziyech. So Thiago Silva, Ziyech and Alonso coming on.
I think that's a sign of Chelsea starting to tire out a little bit. Tottenham have been better in this second half. They've had more intensity, more purpose with their play. I think Thomas Tuchel just looks at it and thinks, well, I'm just going to really shore this up now, get Silva on, along with Ziyech, and just try and, really see the game out. Alonso as well, very experienced player.
So Chelsea now switching to the 3 central defenders, having played with the back 4, but Thiago Silva coming on. At least I presume that's what they'll be doing.
It looks like it.
Yeah, here's Lukaku, edge of the area, flicking the ball across the D. That's won by Ziyech, right foot shot, hits Sanchez, then bounces off Sanchez again, and Højbjerg is able to tidy it up. So Chelsea still leading by 1 goal to 0. So Tottenham looking to break here. Harry Kane thought he'd scored his 13th of the season, but no. Chelsea win it on the halfway line. Tanganga then buffets into Hudson-Odoi, and the ball bounces off the field. It is now Barcelona 2, Real Madrid 3 in the match at the Super Cup, the Spanish Super Cup. Valverde scoring in the 8th minute of extra time. And in the West Ham Norwich Premier League match being played tonight, John Southall.
Signs of life from Norwich, John. West Ham 1, Norwich 0, but really good work from Adam Eder. Fashioned some room on the edge of the penalty area, and his 20-yarder brilliantly saved by Fabianski to his right-hand side. West Ham 1, Norwich 0.
latest Tottenham attack is ruled out by an offside flag. That continues on 5 Live Sports Extra, the West Ham Norwich commentary. We're on air tonight till 10:30, but after 10 o'clock tonight we're actually going to be crossing to Hobart, Tasmania for the build-up to the final test, the 5th test, which begins Friday morning UK time. So test match special with the commentary from 3:25. Test match special is on air on Friday morning UK time as England, they will play, I was reading this morning, at their 76th different test match ground when they play at the Belrive Oval in Hobart. Here's Hudson-Odoi on the left-hand side for Chelsea. Right-footed ball, dinked diagonally into the air. Ziyech got his head to it, and he was challenged by Sessegnon in there, and it was caught by Galini before it went over the line. Or indeed, I think the final touch was off Ziyech behind the line, and it's a goal kick to Tottenham.
Yeah, I think it just went out for a goal kick, but you're right in that Chelsea have just reverted to that back three. I don't think Alonso ever does play in that full-back position, does he? If he's on the pitch, it's generally as a wing-back, and Sarr's just drifted over to the left side centre-back with Silva in the middle, and Chelsea looking just to be really solid.
Here's Kovacic, middle of the Tottenham half. Kovacic turns, gives it to Hudson-Odoi, and then Alonso, who's given a rest from the start of the match tonight. Hudson-Odoi into the corner of the box, then Ziyech works it back to Alonso with the cross. Oh, it's good, but Lukaku near the penalty spot, underneath it. A snapshot from him, but he volleyed it high and up and over the top into, actually in the area of the lower tier to our left, where there's a long line of stewards and policemen there between the two sets of supporters. Goal kick.
Tough chance, wasn't it, for Lukaku? It was a half chance, but really tough one to keep down. The ball came in at pace. He just got that little yard off Ben Davies, held him off with his right arm, and then his left foot just trying to swivel and hit the target.
So Antonio Conte about to make another change. Brian Hill is coming on. Time disappearing for Spurs. 20 minutes to go. They've got to score 3 goals without reply in order just to take this to extra time. And this change will see Lo Celso replaced by Brian Hill. So the 20-year-old Spaniard will trot onto the field. Just going to see, he can play on either side. It looks as though he's going to, well, for the time being, he's on the right-hand side with his shoulder-length, curly brown hair. Throw in for Chelsea over on the far side. Chelsea take this infield towards Ziyech, who takes it down. Ball is blocked by Winks. Tottenham go back into their own half. Sanchez allows it to run, and then with goalkeeper Galini making ground to the other side of the penalty area, Sanchez decides now's not the time to take any risks and wallops it downfield. Kane wins it in the air. Now Moura running away from Rudiger. Uses Sessegnon on the left-hand side. Sessegnon cuts back onto his right foot, but with his left gives it away on the edge of the box. Just did not look comfortable, and then fouls Kovacic, and it's a free kick to Chelsea on the edge of their own box.
Well, as a left-footed player, and you kind of feel in that instance, just get round the outside. I think Tottenham have been crying out for that width on the left and the ability to cross the ball into the box with your left foot, and Sessegnon just opt to come inside. Perhaps that's because it's just exactly where all the bodies were, and it just got smothered out so comfortably by Chelsea.
Chelsea with a free kick, and Jorginho's just got a little knock in there. So 1-0 Chelsea lead. Incidentally, I don't know whether people will have caught this at all today, but if you haven't, it is actually 5 years to the very day since we lost Graham Taylor today. 5 years since Graham died. Can't believe it's 5 years. And we still miss him very much. We loved working with Graham, and I'm sure his family and all of his friends will be thinking of Graham today. But he would have enjoyed sitting up here. He would have enjoyed sitting in this stadium, I know that. He enjoyed a bit of the good life as well, Graham. He'd have enjoyed that custard. Here's Lucas Moura carrying the ball on towards the edge of the penalty area. Uses Sessegnon with a cross. Took a deflection. Alonso was there to volley it away out towards the far side where it bounces out of play. And it's a throw into Tottenham halfway inside the Chelsea half.
I bet he wouldn't have enjoyed that lack of custard, though.
He would not.
More to the point.
He would not.
Because somebody had it all.
As Graham himself would say, very much so. Tottenham with it in the centre circle. Sanchez to Tanganga. Now Emerson Royal towards Harry Kane. Even though time is disappearing, Tottenham have not given this up. Hill now. Brian Hill gets the ball down. Chelsea have got 2 men on him. Alonso's there as well. Back to Winks. Then Hill again. Little shimmy of the shoulders, but then gives the ball away. And Chelsea hit it downfield. Ziyech, Lukaku. Oh, Gollini's come out of the penalty area. I'm not sure that was the right decision, but Sanchez, fortunately for him, got there first. And then Sanchez plays it back to Gollini. And Tottenham are able to clear it away from the back. A little bit like you, I was thinking, what is he doing?
I was having a bit of a wobble, and luckily he just identified that he wasn't going to get there. The situation was dealt with and he just dropped back into his box.
Lucas Moura forward for Hill, but Sarr comfortably gets there first and clears it away downfield. So Tottenham have to start again from inside their own half. Chelsea getting closer and closer to another cup final. This would be their 3rd cup final, don't forget, under Thomas Tuchel. And he's not been in charge for a year yet. FA Cup final, Champions League final, now Carabao Cup final. Tottenham with it on the left-hand side. Sessegnon back to Højbjerg. Square to Winks. Chelsea have dropped back here. Tottenham are looking to ask some questions. What they need to do is just get one.
I mean, that there, John, all links to that chat we were having before the game with Clinton about how do you keep all these players happy in this Chelsea squad. Look at the players that have come on, the players aren't playing tonight, the players that are still sitting on the bench. How do you keep them happy? Well, that's how you just mentioned there, cup final after title, after European adventures. I mean, just to be part of it, whether it be to play 50% of the games or what have you, it just keeps these players tuned in, and the competition for places. I mean, I think Sarr's done quite well tonight. He's been playing left back, he's dropped in and played left side centre half. He's not a particularly glamorous player with the ball, but he's very rugged, he's physical, he does his job, he defends well, and that's the kind of mentality that it breeds at Chelsea, and it's pretty impressive.
And just to underline that, this would be the 6th season in a row that Chelsea have reached a major final or major finals. So that this would be their 8th in the space of 6 consecutive seasons, and their 20th major cup final since Roman Abramovich bought into the club nearly 20 years ago. And just to make sure that it happens, here is Chelsea's number 7, N'Golo Kante, just waiting on the side of the pitch to come on as their 4th substitute.
I don't think they lose many finals either, do they, Chelsea? I'm sure I read something the other day.
Tottenham through the middle with a combination of Winks and Kane, but it breaks down right on the edge of the box. Cleared away by Rudiger. Kovacic on the edge of the area. Kovacic is then fouled. Højbjerg leans into him, and it's a free kick to Chelsea inside their own box. No, under Abramovich, it's Kovacic being replaced by N'Golo Kante. Yeah, in those 19 years, it's 17 major trophies. So that's so there's the 5 Premier Leagues, but in the cup competitions where they could be reaching finals, that's 5 FA Cups, 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Europa Leagues, and 3 League Cups. And that's exactly as you say, Matt. That's winners' medals. Keep players happy.
It does. It keeps them in tune, just to be a part of it. And also the competition is fierce for places. I mean, you've got players that you know, if they're fit at the moment, how well they're playing. One just on the ball now in terms of Rudiger. He's on the team sheet and he's playing, but you know, there's a lot of positions in this team that are a little bit open, and the players know that.
Here's Alonso on the left-hand side. Alonso curls it into the back post. That's headed down and away by Sessegnon. Comes out to Kante, his first touch. And now Ziyech outside the penalty area tries to feed in Lukaku, but it's cleared away. Sanchez just got a foot in. Kante to the right-hand side. The cross is headed away by Davis. Tottenham clear it on the edge of the box and chip it forward into the centre circle. And Chelsea, don't forget, Chelsea have got a very big game on Saturday lunchtime away against Manchester City, which in the context of the Premier League season, that's a must-win. Tottenham win the ball back. Lucas Moura's won it back, advances towards the D on the edge of the box. Lucas Moura then, with Chelsea getting back into position, has to just check back and give it to Emerson. Hill with a flick down the line. Emerson with a cross to the near post, but it's gathered on the bounce up into his chest by goalkeeper Kepa.
That was great decision making from Silva. Really used every bit of his experience there. The break was on and he had a decision to make. Do I try and step out and confront Lucas Moura, or do I just drop off in the space? And he did exactly that. He just smothered out, just covered the space, didn't allow any option for the pass to get threaded through, and Lucas Moura just ran out of space in the end. It was really good decision making from the Chelsea centre-back.
Tottenham running out of space, running out of time. Here's Winks, now Hill. Harry Winks again, he's on his left foot, he's going to have a go, but it flies away high. Those are Chelsea cheers that you can hear. It lands about a fifth of the way up that massive stand to our right. And Oliver Skipp is being called forward by Antonio Conte. Chelsea with a big game in Manchester on Saturday lunchtime. Tottenham with a big game here against the North London rivals on Sunday afternoon. Not sure if you're going to be here for that, Matt, or not, but
I don't think I am with you, unless otherwise. Unless you're telling me otherwise.
Unless there's a late change. Let me tell you, Matt, Clinton Morrison is not going to miss that.
He didn't seem too happy though.
No, don't worry, I'll have won him round by the time
you've got to smooth it over.
By the time we get to Sunday afternoon.
Bring some biscuits.
I'll bring some custard. Here's Alonso playing the ball down the left for Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi is away from Tanganga, who just caught him, and it's a free kick to Chelsea in their own right-back position. So we've got 10 minutes now. Tottenham have got to score 3 goals in 10 minutes plus added time without reply, just to take this to extra time.
They're not going to get back in this game, you feel, but the second half performance has had a bit of fight. You know, it's one of those difficult situations where it's easy to let your head go down and you concede more goals. It hasn't been like that, has it? They haven't been like completely under siege, and at least they've got out and tried to have a go.
5 Live tomorrow night, the place to listen to Liverpool-Arsenal, the first leg, so we'll know one team that's in the final before the other semi-finals even begun because of last week's postponement. Chelsea going to also bring on their 5th man, Loftus-Cheek, so that'll be their final change. But first of all, Ziyech with this free kick on the left-hand side. About half of the players are all grouped together near the penalty spot, so referee Mariner has been in there and had a word. Ziyech with the free kick to the near post, and after all of that it's headed away by Moura and then volleyed back in from the edge of the penalty area, but it flew away, flew over the top of the crossbar and behind from Jorginho, so it's a goal kick. So Harry Winks replaced by Oliver Skipp. There's applause for Harry Winks. Antonio Conte just a little handshake, and Oliver Skipp comes on to replace him, and it's Jorginho who is being preserved perhaps for Manchester on Saturday. Make sure that he's available, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek coming on for him.
Well, he just got that bang from Sessegnon about 5-10 minutes ago, and he stayed down a little bit, and I'm surprised that he's maybe played 81 minutes in this game. I thought, you know, it's been pretty comfortable for Chelsea. He might have come off after an hour or a bit sooner, but he does seem to be able just to churn the games out, Jorginho, and still perform at a high level.
Kane's won the ball back from Sarr. We are into the last 10 minutes now. 1-0 Chelsea lead, 3-0 on aggregate. Still West Ham 1, Norwich 1 in the Premier League. Tottenham with Sessegnon, but his cross is deflected up in the air, and it's an easy one for Kepa to catch. So 5 Live Football Daily Podcast will have all of the interviews and reaction to this. You'll be able to get that via the BBC Sounds app, which is where you get all your football podcasts from the BBC, the Footballers Football Podcast as well, with Mikel Antonio and Callum Wilson. So that is BBC Sounds for the podcasts, and of course the live radio, which can be rewound and enjoyed all over again. Here's Tanganga carrying the ball forward, but Chelsea win it back inside their own half. Loftus-Cheek, and now Alonso with space opening up in front of him. and he's still going, Marcus Alonso. Then he uses Hudson-Odoi on the left-hand side, right-footed cross from Hudson-Odoi. Gollini comes and punches and gets a good punch on that, and he's able to find Sessegnon, but Sessegnon's given it away, and Rudiger opens his legs down into the full-back position. He goes with the ball, and then Sessegnon is all over the back of him. No free kick, and Tottenham are able to clear it away to the halfway line, where Harry Kane has Thiago Silva all over him, and that is a free kick to Tottenham for Thiago Silva's challenge on the Tottenham captain tonight.
Well, those two moments in the game really do kind of send a message about what this match has been about for me. And it's Rudiger, the ball got cleared, he's first to it, he's stepping in front of the Tottenham player and winning that ball, making that gamble, being physical, being confident. Same with Silva there. Okay, he didn't win the ball, but he fouled Harry Kane, stopped him getting any kind of possession or turning or creating anything for Tottenham. And Chelsea have done that all evening. They've been more aggressive with their decision making and more confident out of possession to go and press and have that belief that they're going to win the ball back.
Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. A late goal at West Ham, John Southall.
Surely all over now. West Ham 2, Norwich 0. Originally disallowed when Jarrod Bowen just tapped in from 3 yards out with his left foot. VAR looked at it and he cleverly just held his run, just pulled back and was onside. Scores his 8th of the season, and surely West Ham are heading into the top 4. West Ham 2, Norwich 0.
Thank you, John. Still Crewe 2, Charlton 0, last I heard. And Chelsea on their way through to the 2022 Carabao Cup final. 1-0 up on the night, 3-0 on aggregate. Tottenham, who've had 2 penalties and a goal ruled out by VAR on the night. Lucas Moura to Kane. Thiago Silva wins the challenge with Harry Kane. And now the ball in the centre circle with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. To his right, N'Golo Kante. Ahead of Kante, Ziyech. And then back to N'Golo Kante again in Chelsea. The cheers from the visiting supporters inside the Tottenham stadium, and then Oliver Skipp in frustration fouls Loftus-Cheek, and it's a free kick to Chelsea, who are in no hurry here whatsoever to take this. Thiago Silva just wanders forward, so they've got Thiago Silva and N'Golo Kante back on the pitch, having both completed their recent isolation after testing positive for COVID, so that's good news ahead of Saturday's game. Tottenham giving it away. Sanchez had to be in quick, which he was, and put it out of play for a throw-in to Chelsea halfway inside the Tottenham half.
He had to win that, Sanchez, didn't he? It was a bouncing ball. It was a poor header from Davies, who'd headed the ball inside, and if he hadn't have won that, Lukaku was just trying to flick that in behind him and get it the other side.
We've just got a stoppage here at the moment, and I think people are indicating perhaps that the suggestion was that maybe somebody had a problem in the big stand to our right, and we've seen this a number of times recently, and the spectators are calling for the medical people to come and get involved, and it looks as though we're going to have a stoppage. I was at St James's Park recently when this happened before Christmas, and now we've got some of the medical staff making their way up the steps, and they're calling for the club's medical staff to get involved here. And I see now people are running around the perimeter of the pitch, outside the advertising hoardings, and are going to go up into the stand to see if they can help with this. It's just above, halfway up the middle of the stand, where I can see people heading to the stewards, etc., and some space has been made in there, and it looks as though we're going to have a stoppage while this is dealt with. So clearly a spectator is in some trouble. It's almost right in the middle of the big stand. That's where we can see the medical staff in their fluorescent yellow and orange jackets arriving on the scene. There are already people there, and more people arriving at the time. More expert help I can see making their way up from the pitch side as well into the middle of the stand. So we've got a stoppage here with approximately 4 minutes, I think, of the added time to play. and referee Andre Mariner's come to the side of the pitch, and a number of the players have gathered there as well. And there's also a stadium official down there as well, who I think is in communication with some of the people who are helping out in the middle of the stand to our right. So this could be a lengthy stoppage, and let's certainly hope that everything's okay with that spectator in the stand. So let's just see what the latest is in the Premier League match that's continuing and nearing its conclusion at the London Stadium. John Southall.
2 minutes to play, John. West Ham lead Norwich by 2-0. Could have been 3. Mikel Antonio a moment ago, 4 yards out, off the boot of Krull and onto the roof of the net. Antonio has just been substituted. Obviously will be rested for the game against Leeds on Sunday. I've also seen an incident in the first half, John, which wasn't replayed at the time. It was Krull on Vlasic, right on the line, and basically the goalkeeper Krull had his arms around the neck of Vlasic, bundled him into the net, and how VAR didn't look at that at the time and give a penalty, I will never know. If you get a chance to see it, absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, West Ham are heading into the top 4. They lead Norwich by 2-0.
Yes, as we know, VAR doesn't get it right all of the time. Unlike here at Tottenham tonight, where Chelsea lead by 1-0. But we've got a stoppage. If you've just switched on to us on 5 Live, there's a spectator in some distress, clearly, in the middle of the stand, and any number. There must be at least 10 or 12 medical people who are involved and on the scene and looking after whoever it is who is taken ill in the stand. So the stoppage will continue. I can tell you that it is still Crew 2. Actually, it's Crew 2, Charlton 1 now. So Charlton have got to go back against Crew in tonight's match in League 1. It finished Leicester City 0, Manchester City 5 in the Women's League Cup tonight, and the final score in the Africa Cup of Nations, the third match of today, was Equatorial Guinea 0, Ivory Coast 1. So we're going to Matt Upson. We're going to have quite a bit of time added on at the end of this match once this incident is dealt with, and it is still an ongoing situation in there.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's obviously awful to see, and there's a lot of high-vis jackets, aren't there? I can't quite see the detail of what's going on, but I do remember the game you referred to. That was against Tottenham as well, wasn't it? I think at St James's Park. I remember seeing it. Yeah.
Eric Dyer, of
That's
course,
right.
you remember, who came across and demanded that the medical staff come onto the field and get across to that other side.
I'm not sure if any of the team medical staff have gone up there, have they? Doctors? I didn't see anyone go up.
There were some people who went around the side of the pitch, but I'm not sure that they were the doctors. But as we always say, Matt, in an ideal world, it's one of the places actually where there is medical assistance and medical advice and medical people right on the spot. And if you remember that game at St James's Park, I think, if I'm right in saying, I think there was actually a doctor in the stand who was there as a spectator who was able to help out and was very important in the whole of that. And the chances are, in that stand, somewhere near there, that there might also be an expert, a doctor, a nurse, whatever it is.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same from a player perspective. When you're on the field of play, if anything like that happens, what the situations where we've seen happen for Brice Mwamba, Christian Eriksen, you can't be in a better place to get immediate, really good medical attention, and I'm sure that plays a huge part in assisting.
So it goes on, and as I say, the spectators have moved away, actually, quite a number of them from that area. It's almost slap bang in the middle of the big stand there, and so there are lots of stewards and medical staff were just standing back, and actually I think they've been given the nod for play to continue here, and actually we are going to get underway again. So we're actually into added time, but we'll have to see how much is going to be added on. In fact, it's 6 minutes. 6 minutes has been indicated, so we'll have 6 minutes of added time, but we've already played 2 of those.
There's a lot of spectators have left the stadium now as well, John, isn't there? A lot of the Tottenham fans have seen that stoppage and had the feeling, seen the score, and just and have just left. I mean, it's pretty much less than half full now, isn't it?
Yeah. I hope I'm right in saying that the fact that the match has continued means that spectator has been stabilised and that everything is okay over there. So we'll try and find out more about that if we can. But Tottenham are in possession, playing out from the back. But Spurs 1-0 down, Chelsea leading 3-0 on aggregate, and Chelsea are on the way to next month's cup final. 6 weeks on Sunday it'll be, against either Liverpool or Arsenal, who will start out in their semi-final tomorrow night. Back to West Ham, John Southall.
Full-time whistles go on. West Ham have won it by 2-0 against Norwich. Both goals from Jared Bow in the first 3 minutes before half-time, nodding into the far left-hand corner unmarked. To be honest, he could have scored 4 or 5 tonight. Did wrap it up 7 minutes from time, 4 yards out, just checked his run and tucked it in. Disallowed to start with. VAR looked at it, clearly onside. Very good tonight, Jared Bowen. Maybe an England call-up not too far away. As for Norwich City, well, better in the second half. Adamida had their one chance, 20 yards out, really good strike, but Fabianski, brilliant save to his right-hand side onto the post. So, West Ham, 4th in the Premier League tonight. West Ham 2, Norwich 0.
And more on that to come at the conclusion of this game. And there are only maybe 2 minutes left of added time to be played here. Harry Kane with a shot on the turn that was blocked on the edge of the area by Sarr. And then Skip is being chased all the way back into his own half by Ziyech, who gives it to Sanchez, and now back to Golini, who will clear towards the far side. Certainly a talking point before the game, Golini's inclusion. Hugo Lloris, the club captain, only on the bench tonight, and the only goal tonight was scored by Antonio Rudiger when Golini came and missed his punch in the 18th minute from a mount corner, and Rudiger was able to direct the ball into the back of the net. So 1-0 tonight, 2-0 last week. It's going to be 11 matches unbeaten for Chelsea since they were beaten at West Ham before Christmas, early in December. And this actually will be Tottenham's first home defeat under Antonio Conte's management. Here's N'Golo Kante. N'Golo Kante to the edge of the area, tried to slip it to Hudson-Odoi, challenged by Højbjerg, comes back to Kante, and then his attempted pass into Lukaku was cleared away by Davinson Sanchez.
I mean, Barry's chance in the first half where he just out-muscled Davis. He's not had that many opportunities, Lukaku, to score, has he? He's led the line really well, and his link-up play has been excellent, especially in the first half. A lot of interchange with Werner, little 1-2s and movement. But in terms of a threat in front of goal, he's just not really getting too many opportunities at the moment.
Throw in. It's a free kick, actually. It's been given Tottenham's way, halfway inside their own half. So back it goes to goalkeeper Golini. But I make it, if we are going to have 6 minutes of added time, and we've still got the medical people in the stand to our right, they're still there, so they're still dealing with that incident in the middle of the stand. The ball's out of play for a throw-in to Tottenham, and Chelsea putting the pressure on Brian Heel and winning the ball back, and they are now coasting through to what will be their 9th appearance in the final of this competition. They've won it 5 times over the years, but not since 2015. Ball hit forward for Chelsea, for Lukaku, but Golini was able to come and gather it on the edge of his own penalty area and then send it away downfield, but Sarr's underneath that, heads it to Alonso, and Alonso, as Chelsea go back, and I make it, we've played well past the 6 minutes now. Kepa returns the ball to the left-hand side. Ziyech challenging for it. Andre Mariner still happy for play to continue. Foul on Hudson-Odoi, and it's a free kick to Tottenham on the halfway line. Oliver Skip. To his left to Lucas Moura. Lucas Moura through the middle to Harry Kane, who thought he'd got on the score sheet but was offside. Kane has a shot now from 23 yards out, but that straight into Sarr. Bounces to Tottenham on the right-hand side. And Emerson wins a throw-in off N'Golo Kante.
I mean, Sarr again with the block there. I've been impressed with him for Chelsea. He's done a good job, been very solid. I mean, he's a little bit short of match practice, but He's just another player that you can see in the squad that they can bring in and can do a really good job for them, filling at left back or left side centre back.
Ball put behind by Alonso, so it's a corner to Tottenham. Still we play on. We're in the 8th minute now of added time. Corner to Spurs. Hill to take this. Left-footed to the near post. Takes a double deflection, cleared away. Sessegnon was in there on the edge of the area. Ziyech put the challenge in on him. Now Kane, left side of the box, up against Azpilicueta. Kane keeps it in. He's past Azpilicueta. Now he's trying to find a way to the near post, and it's worked in by Sessegnon, but goalkeeper Kepa got a touch on that. Very important block to preserve the clean sheet and deflect it wide and behind for another corner.
Well, that's a great save from Kepa. Be very easy just to switch off with what's been going on, but it was alive and off his line.
Here's the latest corner into the 6-yard box. Kepa gets the punch, and that's the last action of the match, the last action of the semi-final, and Chelsea have won it. They've won it well over the 2 matches. Antonio Rudiger's goal in the first half, 1-0 on the night, 3-0 on aggregate. So for the 3rd time in less than a year since Thomas Tuchel took charge, Chelsea are into a major cup final. They'll be playing in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley next month. Tottenham are out under Antonio Conte, beaten here at the Tottenham Stadium for the first time under his management. And as the Chelsea fans are singing, the blue flag is flying high over the Tottenham Stadium tonight. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1, 3-0 on aggregate.
Matt Upson and Clinton Morrison are with us. It's very difficult, isn't it, to analyse a game like that, Matt, really, which felt done and dusted from the moment Chelsea got their goal. I know you kept saying, if they get one, you never know, Tottenham, but once Chelsea took the lead to 3-0, you're thinking, well, that's that, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really honest about it, I mean, it's a cup tie, so you always feel that there's a chance, but it was even before the goal, Chappers, wasn't it, in terms of the weight of play, the control of Chelsea, the belief, and I use the word arrogance in a way that it is belief. It's just real belief that when they don't have the ball, they're going to take it back. And I see that in this team, especially when they play against Tottenham in these 2 games. It's like, you can have the ball, but we're going to have it back now, and they've got players that will go and hunt it, the timing. Jorginho's reading of the game, the organisation. You've got Rudiger driving things from the back, and they were so impressive out of possession that when they had the ball, they just had the spaces, because the formation they played almost played havoc with Tottenham. They just couldn't get to grips with it, and you're right, it was a comfortable semi-final second leg for Chelsea.
It's about control, isn't it, Clinton? And quite a lot of managers go on about this, but you always felt, I know Tottenham had the odd chance, but in the main, Chelsea had full control of this tie over both legs.
Yeah, they did. They were in the first leg. I think they played in second gear. They could have killed the tie off in the first leg. I thought they were comfortable, and they didn't never put the foot on the gas really to go and make it 3 or 4. And in this one, Matt is right. They controlled it brilliantly. In particular, Kovacic and Jorginho. At times it was like a keep ball session, and plain and simple at the moment, Tottenham can't live with Chelsea. Chelsea's squad depth's unbelievable. You're looking at the subs Tottenham are bringing on, then you're looking at who Chelsea have got to come off from the bench. It's pure quality, and at the moment, that's the biggest gap. That is the big gap between the 2 teams. It's a huge gap at the moment. I know Tottenham fans will go home frustrated, but Chelsea are at a different level to where Tottenham are, and that's where Tottenham need to aspire to get to, and that's where Conte wants this team to get to. But as I said earlier, he's going to need backing because it was comfortable for Chelsea.
Picking up from what we talked about before, though, Clint, I mean, I spoke a lot about the wing-backs of Tottenham, and do you not find that when you play a 3 and you have those wing-backs, they're such a key piece of the jigsaw, aren't they? That your wing-backs have to shine. Your wing-backs have to be that attacking threat. And I just watched Tottenham, and I'm just left. I mean, you're playing Doherty on the left-hand side, who just wants to come onto his right foot all the time. He's never going to go on the outside and cross it. Emerson Royale, in terms of quality in the box, wasn't great. And I just find that attacking-wise, you're just so limited to Harry Kane or Lucas Moura really doing something.
And you know what? You're spot on, because you're looking at Matt Doherty. He's not the same player he was when he was at Wolves, without a shadow of doubt, because they played wing-backs. And I'm thinking, this is a great opportunity. Leave Emerson Royal out. Go and play Matt Doherty as a right wing-back. That's where he wants to play. He's better going forward than he is as a defender. But still, even on the left-hand side, where I think he's got good natural ability, he does it for the Republic of Ireland. He's just got no confidence. I feel when he pulls on that Tottenham shirt, there's just no confidence in him as a player at this moment. And that goes for a lot of them Tottenham players. You can hear the fans every time a pass goes astray. You can hear it. They are frustrated at the moment. So, and they're not going to turn on the manager like they've done previously. They're going to turn on these players. So it's up to the players now to get out of this situation.
Well, and also, Clinton, they'll turn on the ownership, won't they? And they'll turn on
for
the
sure.
chairman.
Of course they will, because you're going to have to back Conte. When Conte's doing these interviews, he looks so frustrated, like we keep talking about the same thing. Yep, we know we need players. Now it's up to the hierarchy to go and get the players that I've identified and bring to this football club. They need it. Because let me tell you something, chappers, the next few games are huge for Tottenham to challenge for that top four, and they're going to need players in. In particular, they got a North London derby on Sunday at home. If they don't turn up then, these fans would let them know about it.
That was difficult for Conte tonight, Clinton, don't you think? I mean, I'm looking down on the touchline, and as you said before at the start, chappers, it was just so comfortable. You know, he's got that personality, that energy, that body language, the waving of the hands. They're trying to get the team going. But in that first half, the time and space that Chelsea had, I mean, it must be exhausting for him to try and get Tottenham competitive in a game like this.
I think what was interesting about this time, we talked about it a lot last week when Karen was with us in the first leg, was about the tactical battle and the tactical contest between the two managers, between Tuchel and Antonio Conte, which has obviously been won hands down by Thomas Tuchel. That will hurt Conte, but the fact is he's got a much better squad of players.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think his squad are much stronger, but I was a little bit surprised that Conte maybe didn't change it, especially after about half an hour. It was just so comfortable that how narrow Chelsea were in terms of Mount and Hudson-Odoi. Like I said, your wing backs are literally doing nothing. They're not marking anyone, and then when Tottenham had the ball, they couldn't create or get enough passes off to allow a wing back to get forward and be dangerous on the attack either. So, you know, tactically they were really struggling.
What I must mention is, Mark, that I've been told that the supporter, the spectator, who was obviously in some medical difficulty, the good news is that fan has been able to get up, and after that, the treatment that they've received has been able to walk out with the medics. So that's all disappeared. They've all left that part of the stand, and it looks on the basis of what we've got that there's been a good resolution to that.
Okay. As far as Chelsea are concerned, because a lot of this is focused on Tottenham now, Alta Joe put out a great start here, Clinton, which is just 350 days after his first game in charge of Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel has become the first manager in the club's history to guide them to the final of each of the League Cup, the FA Cup and the Champions League.
Not bad, is it? He's doing all right, isn't he? He's not a bad manager, is he? Nah, to be fair. Listen, majority of us said it when Frank Lampard left, obviously thinking he should have got a bit more time, but he didn't. And Thomas Tuchel came in, and you're thinking, can he turn it around? And to go and win the Champions League, wow, unbelievable achievement. To be fair, he gets backed in the summer, the signing of Lukaku. And, you know, he's got some big players there in that Chelsea squad. So you're going to have to get to finals. When you're Chelsea like that, and you've got an owner like Abramovich who wants to win things and helps you by bringing in big players, you're going to have to get there. But it's easier said than done. Tactically, he gets it right on the training pitch, and that's what he's doing at the moment with this group of Chelsea players. As I said today, chappers, just look at the bench. The bench was unreal. The likes of Kante coming off the bench, Ziyech, Havertz was there, Thiago Silva. The list goes on and on and on. They've got an unbelievable squad.
They now need to pick it up again in the league, don't they, Matt? They've wobbled a little bit in December.
Yeah. I think they need to fulfil, you know, what everyone feels they're capable of in the league, and I really believe this squad is capable of winning a Premier League? Is it likely, given how good City are, and like you say, that little blip that they've had to set them back a little bit? They've got quite a way to claw back on Manchester City, but if they string the results together and they keep performing, it's about momentum, isn't it? And getting Lukaku in that situation where he's going to be effective and score goals. I thought his link-up play was good, especially in the first half. Physically, he looked dominant. A couple of times he got behind and he out-muscled players, and you saw that rampant type of physical play that you expect from Lukaku, and why Chelsea bought him. But in terms of goals, he didn't get a goal tonight, and whether or not he can just get him in that mode where he can be that top goal threat, we'll have to wait and see.
Let's move on to the second semi-final, first leg between Liverpool and Arsenal. Full commentary on 5 Live tomorrow night. Anybody like to guess which Arsenal we might see tomorrow?
Well, it should be Matt can do most of the Arsenal talking, but it should be a better Arsenal than turned up against Nottingham Forest, to be honest. Listen, they are struggling in midfield though at the moment through people who had African Cup of Nations and people with COVID, but at the same time they were so disappointing the other night against Forest. It was bad, Clint, wasn't it? Yeah, in terms of the FA Cup, the application, Mikel Arteta really took a bit of a gamble in terms of, he played Lokonga and the other young lad, Charlie Patino in midfield, and it just didn't pay off, because you're playing against a Championship team that really has to win that battle every week in, week out in the Championship. It's those loose balls, those second balls, the running of the midfield players, and I thought they did that really well, Nottingham Forest, and Arsenal just didn't cope in that way.
And Arsenal were without some of the players who've really, the players that have driven this improvement this season were not there for them on Sunday, and I don't know if
it wasn't a team. It wasn't a team of kids that they put out.
No, not
Arsenal fans were fuming at that performance.
Yeah, and it's simple that it's got to be much better than that. And I thought it was interesting. He gave a great interview to Andy Gillis, Mikel Arteta, on the side of the pitch after the match, where, without naming names, he was very critical of the team and the players that played in that match, and I presume that he will have named names in the dressing room.
Yeah, I named one. Tavares, he took him off after. That was a big statement. Being subbed after about half an hour. Wow, you don't know. He could have probably done that to anybody, to be fair, because a lot of the players were having bad nights. But I think he made a big statement there, like, you keep passing the ball out of play, and you can have that as a footballer, letting the ball run under your feet, not tracking the winger. It was difficult, but it was a difficult night altogether. No one stood out. No one was good. They missed Smith Rowe. They missed Tomasi, the right back, who's been outstanding. They missed Xhaka in the midfield. But I don't know if Xhaka will be back tomorrow, because he's had COVID, and I don't think that's the 7 days. And hopefully you have Smith Rowe back, though, because I think he's so important for them going forward, because I don't think they had a goal threat. And Ketia, who I do like, he kept coming towards the ball too much, chappers. And I'm thinking, just get in the box and score goals, because that's where you come alive. And it was comfortable for Forest's back three. So this is the one, though. I think Arsenal need to win a trophy this season, and I think this is the one where...
Do you?
No, I don't think they'll... Listen, I don't think they'll beat Liverpool. It's a difficult one, because you don't know what kind of team Liverpool are going to put out. But this is the cup competition that Arsenal need to win this season, because this is the only one they're left in, really and truly. This is the only one they can go for. I don't think they'll win, though. Don't try to put me on the spot there, chappers. I still think Liverpool...
No, I wasn't on that. It was more it was when it's my job to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's the point that whether you think they need to win a trophy this season.
No, I think they do need... I think they do.
Well,
I
this
think
is
the
it
club
then,
needs
isn't
to
it?
win. Yeah, this is the one. And I think this is... He'll want as much of his injured players that... possible back for this game, and also the North London derby, because I still think it's really important for Arsenal to finish in that top 4. So this is a big week for Arsenal, a huge week. That is why they've been trying in the market to try and bring in some loan players, in particular in midfield, because that is where they're weak at the moment. But it's going to be a struggle.
I'm just going to interrupt. We're going to bring some reaction from the game at Tottenham. Thomas Tuchel is live with George Cummins.
Thanks, Mark. Yep, Thomas is with us now. Thomas, congratulations. You're into another final. What did you make of your team's performance?
Well, we're happy about the result. Over the first half an hour, we were the better team. We deserved to be up. We had big chances, and we went up to a set piece. But we lost control a bit. We were lacking the last concentration. We lost focus. and were lucky not to concede a goal in the last 15 minutes of first half. Then we started again very well in second half, and the same thing happened. Instead of scoring and deciding the game, well deserved. We were almost punished for lack of focus and bit of overconfidence. I had the feeling that we play with 90%, one escape with 90-80%. And that's not our style. We should not do this because that's not us. And then for this we had to suffer and work hard in defense, which was not our best performance today.
You know how good Harry Kane is, you know how good Antonio Conte is as a manager, but you've been very dominant over the 2 legs, haven't you? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we have been, but we were better in the first leg than today. Like I said, I was very happy with the start. And we went 1-0 up, but we had it in our hands to decide it absolutely with a second goal, or at least to control the game more in the opponent's half. But we were not sharp enough throughout the whole match. Over the 2 legs, we are well-deserved well-deserved winners. Yeah, I think so. But for today, the performance was an okay performance.
Your third final in 12 months at Chelsea, did you expect to have that impact?
What final?
Your third final, Champions League final, FA Cup final, League Cup final. It's not bad, is it?
No, it's not bad. We love to play them, of course. And we spoke about it before. It's so close to Wembley. When we spoke in half-time, we cannot drop 1%. Wembley is at the horizon, full house, and we want to play this final. Everybody's excited to play finals. Very, very special.
Just the last one on Rudiger, another goal. He's out of contract. You want him to stay? Do you think he'll stay?
Yeah, nothing changed. The things are clear. Talks are going on, and we're confident.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thomas Tuchel with George Cummings. Let's switch to the Premier League at the London Stadium. Finished West Ham 2, Norwich 0. Both goals coming from Jared Bowen. Comfortable for the home side, John Southall? Oh, there's no John Southall.
John Southall is not here.
Is he gone, James Collins? I
think he was rushing off for his train or something. I believe he left me hold fort.
You tell me how comfortable it was for the home side then.
It was comfortable without being a classic Chappers. You know, it was quite a slow tempo early on, and sort of almost like I described it as a testimonial really in the first half. It was sort of both teams having possession without really going forward, but West Ham just showed that little bit more quality in the attacking third and deserved it in the end. You know, Gerard Bowen probably could have had 3 or 4, you know, even more goals tonight as West Ham could have. But yeah, worrying times for Norwich. They've come to West Ham, sort of haven't, you know, like I said, kept the ball, but they're not going to win games just keeping possession, and they haven't really threatened West Ham going forward. And like I said, if you're a Norwich fan, it is worrying times.
Clinton, Jared Bowen's stats. He's been directly involved in 16 goals in all competitions this season. 8 goals, 8 assists, the most of any English player for a Premier League side this season. He must be close to an England call-up. He must be.
Someone asked me this about a month and a half ago, and I said, England, I said, I'm not sure. But now, when you keep putting up them stats and them kind of figures, you got to be knocking on the door. You got to be there or thereabouts. I know, like, people will look at him and say, oh, he's not that like the Grealishes that's going to go and beat people and, you know, and silky and that. But one thing I'd say, he's made that adaptation from going from the Championship to the Premier League. He's been outstanding. He scores goals, though, and that's what you want. And as you said, he assists goals as well. He must be a nightmare. He tracks back. He's got it all. So
I tell you what, Clint, he puts a shift in as well,
yeah.
mate.
Well, there you go. That's what I mean.
Well.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and that's what David Moyes demands, to be fair. I said in commentary as well, he's the perfect player for David Moyes and for any manager. You know, he's so threatening going forward, both feet, but he don't half put a shift in, which is you know, brilliant for any manager.
And maybe he offers something just different as well, James, to most of the other players who would play in that position for England.
I must go back. Clint's only saying he's not sure about him for England because he plays for West Ham, by the way.
No, I promise you. I didn't say I'm not. I promise you, James. I didn't say I'm not sure. I said I weren't sure 2-3 months ago. Now I'm saying, why not give him the opportunity? He's been excellent. There you go. I like West Ham. He
really has been unbelievable. I've watched a lot of West Ham the last couple of months, and he's, we always say Mikel Antonio's first on the team sheet, but at the moment it's Jarrod Bowen. He's been sensational, like I say, not for his attacking play, but for his defending as well. And like I say, it wasn't a classic year tonight, but Jarrod Bowen was the difference again, as he has been so many times.
But Chappers, guess what, Chappers? I know Gareth Southgate, so I'll give him a call. And I'll say,
you do that then.
I'll say
you do that.
Jarrod Bowen, get him in that net squad, because Bamford got the opportunity when he was flying. If you're flying and you're in good form, which he is now, and he's probably the informed winger, then for sure he has to be in a squad. So
don't take this the wrong way, Clinton, but I would hope that he's on Southgate's radar without you having to give Southgate a call.
He is on his radar. I would never take it the wrong way. But if Clinton says something, James will tell you. If Clinton says something, 9 times out of 10 people do it.
Well, I tell you what, you're getting big time. You're referring to yourself in the third person now, Clinton. That's always a worry. Matt,
I apologise.
Matt, just a final one on Jarrod Bowen, which is obviously it's a credit to the player how he's developed. It's also a credit to that West Ham coaching staff.
Absolutely. I mean, I was listening to you name the players there, James, and it's like you look at Bowen, you're then talking Antonio, you're then looking at Rice. You know, you can keep names. Zuma's gone there and been outstanding since he's been at West Ham. Fabianski plays really well, very consistent. There's a lot of players for West Ham playing very well at the moment, and I think that has to be credit to the setup, to David Moyes and his coaching staff.
But there's also an awful lot of competition to get into that England squad in that position.
For sure.
There is. Matt, John, James, Clinton, thank you all very much. Chelsea into the League Cup final then. Commentary tomorrow of Liverpool, Arsenal. Colin here at 10:30, and next we'll join Ellie in Hobart ahead of the final 5th Ashes Test.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Some of Boris Johnson's own MPs are tonight urging him to stand down after he admitted attending a party in the Downing Street garden during lockdown. Earlier today, the Prime Minister apologised for his handling of the event. The Scottish Tory leader Douglas Ross was among the Conservatives who joined opposition calls for his resignation, led by the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer.
His defence that he didn't realise he was at a party it is so ridiculous that it's actually offensive to the British public. He's finally been forced to admit what everyone knew, that when the whole country was locked down, he was hosting boozy parties in Downing Street. Yes. Is he now going to do the decent thing and resign?
A judge in New York has ruled that a civil case which accuses Prince Andrew of sexually assaulting a woman when she was 17 can go ahead, despite attempts by his lawyers to have it dismissed. Virginia Joffre, who says she was trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, is suing the prince, claiming he abused her in 2001. He has consistently denied the allegations. The ruling means that he could testify or reach a settlement out of court. Gloria Allred is a lawyer for a number of Epstein's accusers.
We don't know whether Prince Andrew would even be interested in any settlement, and if he were interested, we don't know if Virginia would be interested, and if she were interested, how much she would demand in order to agree to a settlement. There's risk on the part of both parties, but we'll have to wait and see how they assess that risk.
The Attorney General has referred the sentence of the mother of the murdered toddler Star Hobson to the Court of Appeal. Suella Braverman said Frankie Smith's 8-year jail term for causing or allowing her daughter's death was too low and unduly lenient. Smith's partner, Savannah Brockhill, is serving a minimum of 25 years for murdering the 16-month-old. French police are questioning a man over the unsolved murders of 3 members of a British family in the Alps in 2012. Saïd Al-Hili, his wife Iqbal, his mother-in-law Souheila Al-Safaf, and a French cyclist Salva Moyer were found dead on a road near Annecy. Tom Parry has written a book on the case.
None of this has ever been proved, and there have been various arrests down the years, but the investigators and there remains an active team in that region have never come up with anything to find the culprit in this crime.
A man who hammered at a statue outside the BBC's headquarters in London has been arrested on suspicion of criminal damage. He used a ladder to reach the sculpture above the entrance to Broadcasting House. A second man is also in custody on suspicion of conspiracy to commit criminal damage. And the weather, a clear and cold night across most of England and Wales, with some dense fog developing in places, cloudy and breezy for much of the north.
This is 5 Live Sport with Eleanor Oldroyd.